All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to start the prime time session, the final prime time session in the 2017 Raw National Championships here in Orlando, Florida. I'm Ellis McClain.
I'm Bryce Lewis. We're both joining you, both as athletes and as announcers today, commentating on the big boys. We've got the 120 kilo class and the 120 plus kilos, some big names. Ellis, tell us what we're looking forward to.
Well, obviously, everyone's looking forward to the big man himself, Ray Williams. We're going to see what he puts up, the numbers he's going to put up, and of course, last but not least, of course, is going to be Dennis Cornelius, seeing one, the total, two, what he's going to squat, and three, most importantly, if he's going to be wearing shoes or not in this in his squat session. Of course, you're going to have Mr. Athletic over everything, Jason Mike. He's also one that a lot of people like, a lot of people follow. Just a multifaceted man, jack of all trades, just super athletic man. So it's going to be two or three amazing guys, of course, that people love seeing. Of course, Jared. Can't forget about Jared. He's going to be squatting the house. And, of course, Mr. Pena himself. He's a teen, but he squats like a grown man. So we're looking forward to seeing what Johnny Pena does tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Was he at Nationals last year? Because I know he squats equipped.
He, I believe he was. He's on the world team. Yeah, he was at Nationals last year, and I'm pretty sure he squatted in the high 7, low 8s. So it's amazing to see what this kid's going to be doing. Gino's getting us started.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go! Give me a round of applause!
And Gino got him ready, so that means we're getting ready.
Can you guys hear me now?
Perfect.
Are we better?
Getting ready to come up. I believe that is Anthony Garguglio from New Jersey. Starting things off with a 262.5 squat opener.
Anthony hails from Rockaway, New Jersey, my hometown. Rosalind, come on out, Anthony.
Yeah. I think Trey's controlling the volume, so we should be good. So yeah, as we get into this, as you guys are listening, we've got two flights here. Our first flight is going to be the 120s. Second flight is going to be those big heavyweights, 120 plus.
Like I said, getting things started off, we have Anthony from Rockaway, New Jersey, opening things up with a 262.5. That looked like an opener.
Yeah, super confident. Crowd's happy with that too.
All right, Anthony. Nice opener. SSP t-shirt.
Next up, we have Mr. Joey Flex himself.
Joey decided to compete as a 120 this year, even though he weighed in extremely light. He's been coaching the entire week. It's awesome to see him out here, and his athletes have been pretty proud. So definitely a crowd favorite. I think Joey is looking for just a PR performance this time. I know he's always looking forward to the Arnold Wilkes qualifying total, that ever-increasing Arnold Wilkes qualifying total. LS, do you know what the qualifying total is for the men?
I actually do not know what the qualifying total is for the men, but I know that Joey actually, he's far over it for the qualifying total for the 120 men. Crazy enough, as light as he's been, he's actually lost a lot of weight, trimmed down quite a bit from where he was, but he's actually been PRing both in volume and its intensity in terms of his latest training block. So I'm excited to see what Joey does.
Yeah, this is a pretty big opener for him, 585. I saw him hit this a few days ago in training, so this shouldn't be a problem at all.
Come on, Joe.
And yes, that's a few days ago. He trains relatively heavily all the way up to the competition. Yeah.
And that looks like an opener. That definitely looks like an opener. I'm excited to see how Joey ends up today. I think the cool thing about, just Juno just said it. Joey had over 30 lifters, over 35 lifters that he handled up to today. So it's going to be interesting and exciting to see how he ends up, just energy-wise. Matthew Cronin from Virginia, 27 years old, opening up with 600.8 pounds. That's 72 and a half.
Yeah, I've been privileged enough to work with Matt for about a year or so. I actually do his training, and he's made some phenomenal progress. So I don't get to be out there coaching him. He's working with Bill McCarthy, I believe, and Get the Lift. But I get to watch from this box and get to see what he does.
Yeah. Now, Bryce, I'm almost positive you, the strength athlete, and I'm pretty sure Flex Training Systems, you guys have the most athletes represented. You pretty much have USA powerlifting Raw Nationals pretty much covered from, I'm talking from women to men, heavily saturated with TSA athletes.
Yeah, well, we hope so.
And, of course,
I know Joey's shooting for that team award.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, another one, the RTS. They have quite a few athletes. Speaking of RTS, we have Ryan Stills.
Wow, I like that setup.
Did he just give it the shark fin?
Yeah, he did.
I think he gave it the shark fin.
Reactive training system.
Now, Ryan, I think, moved up from the 105s to the 120s, so I'm excited to see what is different. Like, how much does his strength increase?
Zach is up next.
Nice brace. It looks like the move up.
I'll say.
It looks like that move up helped him a little bit. 2-to-1 right there. A lot of speed. We're going to have some pretty high squats today.
Yeah, we
pretty
are.
high numbers in squats today.
If you guys are watching, stay tuned towards the end of this flight when we've got Jared Martin and Dennis Cornelius taking us into some absurd opening squats.
Local fellow from Florida.
But before that, we've got Zachary Sprinkle here.
628 pounds.
Zach's opening up with 628, 285 kilos.
Relatively high bar. Wowzers. That's a nice opener.
Yeah, that's textbook.
It's crazy. This kid's 20 years old. He looks like a grown man.
We've been seeing that a lot.
A lot. There's a lot of 19 and 20-year-olds walking around that feel they look like you look like you have a 401k.
Well, what I mean is just a lot of young kids
Lot of
coming out
young
and
ones.
crushing the open division. It's amazing.
And then, of course, on the other side of the coin, you have there's a lot of masters lifters,
Yeah.
a lot of M1s that aren't just doing just M1. They're not just competing as masters. They're competing as openers.
Yeah.
They're competing as open category. I mean, because, honestly, strength is strength. It doesn't necessarily matter about age. It's one of the few things in life that doesn't matter what the age is. If you're strong, you're strong.
Yeah, you are.
We have Blake Atwell from Michigan opening up with shade under 640 at 290. Solid opener. Slightly slower than some of the others. Now,
All right, Tristan's coming up next. He's got 292 on the bar, so we're already up to almost 650 pounds on openers.
good Lord.
By GetTheLift.com. Owner and proprietor Billy McCarthy. Bars loaded.
As you guys are watching, as we go through these openers, you're going to see a few lifters with openers that they look a lot lighter than some. You see some that start off like their openers look like they require a little bit more effort than others. Bryce, what's your take on openers in terms of how you select your openers, how you select openers for your athletes, those that are going into competitions?
Yeah, so we're really trying to just open up with a weight that we want to be comfortable for the athlete, to be a good stepping stone into a second attempt, to be an absolute lock. We don't want any doubt in the athlete's mind or in our mind that the athlete's going to miss the load. In terms of kind of difficulty, we want to be somewhere around 91% of a 1-rep max of what we might be planning for a third attempt.
Right.
And for the athletes to probably have at least 2 reps left in the tank if they were to just get out there and just rep that load. So more than anything, it's a stepping stone. You're not trying to prove anything on that opener.
So you're saying something around like an RPE of 8.
Yeah,
Looking
yeah,
for
exactly.
RPE of 8.
People that know RPE, exactly.
You know, that's something I actually kind of want to kind of dive into a little bit, just so because a lot of people out there, especially those that are just getting into social media land and starting to follow a lot of your favorite lifters, you'll start seeing a lot of them talking about RPE of 7, 7.5, 8, 9, even some 9.5 to 10. When you start talking about RPE, the thing that Bryce pointed out is, you want to have 2 reps left in the tank. So in terms of RPE scale, that would be an RPE of course, 8.
Yeah,
meaning
exactly.
that you have a couple of reps left in the tank. In terms of that 1 rep max. So if you hear a lot of or read a lot of lifters that you follow doing that RPE scale, which is made so famous by Mike Teixeira and the RTS camp, that's what a lot of them are talking about. Well done.
So Tyler's opener looked a little slower than some of the others, but no less confident. I have no doubt he's coming out for a big second.
Yeah, he's definitely
as
coming out for a big second. And that seems to be a pattern a lot of times that people that you start seeing is you see a few people with openers that seem a little bit you see a few people that start off a little bit heavier with their openers because a lot of them they may have a goal for that 3rd attempt. So a lot of people want to take in mind their jumps. You don't want to have too big of jumps. So you can start off with an RP of 8 sometimes. Some start off with an RP of 7.
Yeah, you absolutely
just to
can.
make sure they have a good opener that gets them in the meet.
So here's our second heaviest
opener right here. Jared Martin from Indiana opening up with 320 kilo, 705.5. Jared is a squatter. This kid can move massive amounts of weight.
And he's young too. He's 28.
28 years old.
So I talked to Jared in the warm-up room. He's basically just trying to finish second behind Dennis.
Yeah.
He's coming in with just a few injuries, but he's trying to set just a PR performance today.
Wowzers.
Yeah, he's going to squat something big today.
Oh, yeah. We expect to see Jared up
and the
around
big boy.
800. Here we go.
Dennis
Cornelius
is opening.
He is opening with some crazy amount of weight. We just saw the legend, Brad Gillingham, just walk by. Dennis Cornelius is opening up with 360 kilo, just a shade under 795 pounds.
So on social media, we saw a 900-pound training squat. I'm wondering if we're going to get close to that, and I think this is our first test to see if he's capable of something close to that.
And people are already standing up for the man.
The cameras are coming out.
Cameras are starting to come out. It's only going uphill from here, ladies and gentlemen.
I talked to the platform coaches, Matt and Susie Gary. They said he's feeling great. So we're looking for some PRs today.
Dennis taking his time. Nice solid walkout.
No problem on that weight. He's got 3 whites for it.
Looks like he feels good.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like
I'd
he
say.
feels good. 3 whites for Dennis Cornelius.
You know what I'm looking at is even the walkout. So sometimes the bar feels a little shaky on his back. He felt really solid on that. Confident.
Right.
We're going back to the top of the flight now as we start back up again with Anthony. You know, in terms of notable people that aren't here and also higher age people that are competitive in the open division, Tony Harris isn't here.
Tony Harris is not here. He was deployed. And it's funny that you mentioned Tony. He was actually in the back of my head. I'm glad you mentioned him. Tony actually had the 120 open world record squat. I won't say for about a month. He had it for about a month, and then of course I think he said it, and then Dennis Cornelius came soon thereafter and just chipped it, shade over 850, I believe at the time. And it's funny because Anthony Harris, he's in his mid 50s. Dennis is, he's in his late 30s, and it's just crazy that, like we talked about before, strength is just strength. Doesn't matter the age. There you saw an example of strength right there with Anthony with a beautiful 606 squat. Anthony he's a longer individual. He looks like he's topping at least 6'3". So it's funny. It's funny seeing these tall guys come in
Flex.
Of course, you and I, we don't really have that problem. We're built low to the ground.
We're getting there.
We can grow out. We can't really grow up.
Crowd favorite Franzo jumped 12.5 kilos from first to second. He's coming out for 277 kilos, 6'11" on the bar.
D Hills from California. Up next is Cronin.
He's asking him to take it up a little bit. And that's awesome. That's some good. That's actually really good clock management. It's good time management. Realize you have a little bit over 45 seconds. If you really want him to adjust that bar a little bit, he asked him to take it up just one more notch, which he did. Got up under the bar with about 37 seconds left, so he has just enough time to really get settled, get his mind right.
20 seconds.
Just like Gino said, you have plenty of time.
Yeah, and a minute really is a long time unless something happens like your wrist wraps aren't set up or you forgot to put your singlet straps up. Joey makes quick work of that second attempt.
Both of which have happened to me. Both gone out without wrist wraps. I've gone out with singlet hanging at my waist. Lifted with 2 seconds left. I mean, it happens to the best of us.
Cronin with True Fitness and Get the Lift. His second at 287, 633 pounds.
Get the lift on Billy McCarthy.
Is CTSA's sole representative here in the 120 class today?
We had one earlier. We had Jamie Grotan in the 120-plus class and a few others. But he'll be on the team as a point scorer.
Nice. Well done. Good work with 633 is Matt Cronin. They'll come up. We have Ryan Stills going with a 297.5. That's just a little bit under 656.
Ryan Stills.
I think a few of these guys must be in for a hunt for the Masters Raw team as well.
Yes. We have a very dominant men's Masters Raw team.
RTS owner and proprietor Mike Guerra.
And here's the crazy thing: we have a women's Open that predominantly has a lot of women that could qualify for.
We absolutely
the Masters.
do. Sabrina Davis.
Yes.
Alicia Webb.
Sue.
Susie Gary.
And you have some that the women's team is so solid. We have women that they can qualify for both Open and Masters, and they're just so
blasted up.
They're just so good. Just like that spot Ryan showed there.
So I thought it was a little bit high. He got 2 to 1, so 2 reds. I'm sorry, 2 whites. He's good for that. But I wonder if he's one of those squatters where as the weight gets heavier, that squat gets a bit higher. We'll have to see for that third attempt.
That's been a pattern that people, if you hadn't been noticing, guys, I'm sure you guys, if you've been watching up to date, is the standard of squats and the standard of squat depth. It's pretty much being kept all week long. If that hip crease does not drop below the knee, then you're not going to get the call. Especially here, you're not going to get the call.
They've been pretty good with calls. Zach Sprenkel here, he's taken 300 keys, 661 pounds. Yeah, like nothing. That was good.
Quick. Good Lord. That was right in the pocket. I'm pretty sure he got that 2-1 call, exact same call, his last go-round. But it's quick work. If you blink, you will not see it. Then we have Tyler Cook coming up from the great state of Ohio. He's going 305.
Boys loaded. Come on, Tyler.
That is a grown man beard right there.
Up next is Blake.
Tyler, one of our taller competitors. He's definitely topping out over 6'3". A lot of big boys in this 120 class.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's always nice to watch the taller competitors. It's nice to watch their squats, especially when they use that really good technique like that. He just stood up, pretty much stood up with that weight. Look forward to seeing what his third attempt's going to be.
So as I'm seeing the scoreboard here, I don't know if you guys can see it on the stream. Dennis's jump coming up is 843 pounds, 382.5 kilos. But that seems a little bit out of reach to take a jump from there all the way up to 900. So maybe they're trying to just secure a good day. But I mean, with a high-level lifter like that, when you don't have competition, you can just plan attempts around yourself and what you think you're capable of without really having to worry about, edging off the wolves, kind of trying to catch up to you. Blake's taking 672, 305 kilos. Oh.
He got some good rebound out of the bottom. Just hit that sticking point right in the center, right at that three-quarter point.
Yeah, we'll find out if that was a misgroove, if he comes back. Like, I've seen a few lifters just blast up a third, and you thought it was a strength issue.
Yeah. A lot of times it's just kind of, tuning in and just really kind of not necessarily digging deep, but just kind of, get everything in tune, just finding your groove. Because regardless of how much you train, how much you practice it, it's always different when you're on the stage.
It's
the
always
big stage,
different, yeah.
The big stage really kind of shows you kind of where you're at mentally.
Except LS, you seem calm no matter where you lift.
I honestly, I don't even know. I don't even know how to answer that. Just, I think the world is my playground. That's why I look at it.
You are one of the most pleasurable people to watch lift. Like, it's just, you radiate this energy, and I know people pick up on it. So if you happen to tune into the 93 kilo class, if you didn't, go back and watch it. We've got Tristan here taking 677 for a ride. Yeah.
You know what? This one thing I will say about Tristan. I was concerned at the beginning. I thought he picked kind of a higher opener, just based off his body language, how it looked. But I mean, you get some. I can use Charlie Dixon. Charlie Dixon's one of those. CNS is always firing off, no matter what the weight is. So when Tristan was unracking the weight, walking out, it seems like he's shaking a little bit.
Yep.
So I didn't know if he had just picked kind of a higher total. I mean, a higher opener. But his second looked exactly like his first.
Yeah, it did.
Charlie's one of those as well. Charlie's one of those, he moves massive amounts of weight in the 83 class. He's a junior, actually. CNS is always firing off, so it always looks like it's a little heavy for him. But as soon as he, locks in, loads, stands up with it, it's always quick. Speaking of heavyweights about to be lifted, we got a shake under 750 here with Jared Martin, 340 kg. We told you at the beginning this kid, he can move some weight.
Yeah, this is a big 20 kilo jump up from his first. I don't think this will be an issue.
No, not at all. Makes it look like a walk in the park. Well done, Jared.
Yep.
2-1.
The head judge gave him a call.
There's something I'll ask you a question on. Some of you guys saw that concavity of the left leg as Jared was standing up. Where does that tend to come from with squatters?
It could be a strength imbalance issue, a technique issue, or just even how the femur steps in. But before we talk about that, Dennis here, 100 pounds up from the nearest athlete, Jared Martin, taking 750. Here's Dennis Cornelius with 843 on his second.
843 on his second. So I'm pretty sure he's probably going to be taking a stab at his own world record.
Yeah, we might see it.
843 pounds. Way more than 3 times his body weight.
Oh, man. This is crazy to watch. More people are standing up, of course, as Cornelius gets ready to unrack this.
That same confidence setup.
Man, that walkout looks dangerous. He's ready to roll. Stands up with it. Boom.
That's a little slower than I expected.
Yeah.
He's got 3 whites on it. It's good. But I expect him to take a smaller jump.
I'm definitely expecting him to take a smaller jump. The cool thing about Dennis is if you just read his lips as he walks off from every single squat, he talks with Susie Hart with Gary. You can always read his lip. He'll tell her how it feels. He'll tell you it feels good. He'll tell you if it feels bad, and he'll always say that was tough. Now that one right there, if you had a chance to read his lips, make sure you go back and he'll say that was tough. He was like, "Whoop, that was tough."
Yeah.
That's always his response if he has a time with it. Now, right before he went out, I had a chance to talk with him and Big Ray in the back, and the last thing he said before I got ready to walk off is, "Man, I feel good. I just feel a little dehydrated."
We got smiles on Anthony Gargiulo's face as he comes up for his last 10-kilo jump up to 628 pounds, 285 kilos.
By all means, he is the tallest competitor in the 120 class. I'm pretty sure he said it at 28. Stands up with it.
So did he make depth on that?
Judges say
Yeah.
yes.
Great work, Anthony. So for a lot of these lifters, especially up at the top of the class, it's just a privilege to be able to compete in this special primetime division. For USA Powerlifting, they've separated out some of the lifters with higher qualifying totals into a special night division to highlight their performances and get a big crowd going. So for a lot of these lifters, it's just a privilege to be able to get here in the first place. Joey Franzo with his third squat, another 12-kilo jump up. We've got 628 on the bar.
Joey's making some really good calls. He's some really good based off of his previous squat. This is actually a spot-on call, I think, for him.
Flex training systems here. Both of these guys, athletes and coaches.
I'm actually excited for Joey. I'm excited for him. I know he's been really focusing on increasing that squat, getting that squat up a lot, and I mean at the same time he's a good example of just kind of sticking with the program and actually sticking with the diet. He's been trying to dieting down, and as he's dieted down, he's actually gotten stronger.
Yeah, he has. He's essentially made the move from 120 all the way down to 105.
Bigger breath than he had the previous one. Big breath. He stands up with it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, a little bit in the tank. He had a little bit left in the tank. That's awesome. And I think
walked away with 9 lights, and was that a dab we saw?
He dabbed. That was a series of dabs in one. Here we have Matthew Cronin coming up from Virginia. Had a little bit of time with his last squat, but it moved. It definitely moved.
Yeah, well, there's the smaller jump now. We're only seeing 5 kilos up to the third. Just to put that in comparison, a few of these guys took 20-kilo jumps. So they're just trying to maximize the load on this third squat here, and I think we're going to see a lot of the lifters in this flight aim for that.
There you go. Good work.
Yeah.
And judges say 3 whites.
Gave it to him. Easy.
Matthew, that was really nice.
Now Blake missed his second, so he's trying to repeat and nail that same load. So he's coming up for 305, 672 pounds.
Boys loaded Blake Atwell, Michigan, 24 years old. Ryan Stills on deck. 672 pounds.
All right. The biggest thing, ladies and gents, when you hit a sticking point, the last thing you want to do is stare dead at that ground. And a lot of times what doesn't happen when people get stuck in a sticking point is they start staring at the ground, the head starts coming down. Now you notice this previous time with his last one, he hit a sticking point and his line of sight kind of started going down. And so obviously that kind of causes a rounding of the back, and sometimes the weight kind of wants to dump you forward. Now this particular time he actually hit a sticking point, but rather than looking down, he actually started looking a little bit further up to kind of keep those shoulders back, to kind of keep engaged, and of course hold that brace and try to stand up through the weight. A lot of good squatters try to make sure that they hold the integrity and keep that technique intact as they try to stand up out of it. Now Ryan Stills, who made quick work of 655, has 683.4. That's 310 kilo on the bar. As Bryce mentioned before, he's made the move up. He made the move up from the 105 class.
So these might be some weights he's never touched before.
That can be both exciting and scary at the same time.
How does it feel, by the way, being under a squat weight you've never done before? What's that feeling of PRing something?
Man, here lately, as he stands up very quickly with 310.
Great work.
I mean, well, you literally
So yeah, he was a little high on
a little
that.
high
All
on that
three
one.
judges
Quick
agree.
work with it. Well, Bryce, you've been around me the majority of my powerlifting career, and I mean, from the time of me just being only a bencher, to just been working on a lot of squats, a lot of deadlifts. Bench wise, a PR is just a PR. I mean, it's really scary. I'm not gonna lie, it's scary when you get under weight that you've never really done before, and especially if it's weight you've never done before at the weight that you're at. I mean,
We're talking about the squat.
we're definitely talking
Yep.
about squat right now. I've when you start getting up in around 700, at around 200 pounds, for me, I always think like, Lord Jesus, this is double, triple my body weight. Quick work by
Sprinkle
Zach
blasts up
Sprinkle.
310 kilos.
Judges say yes. We say yes.
I give him
He's
another
excited
5
about
on that.
Cheese and rice. That was awesome. But yeah, I mean, you know, just like I know, when you get to that foreign territory, especially with squats and it's weight that you've never necessarily touched, it's you're excited, but you're scared. But I feel like just a respect for the weight, respect for the force that you're about to put on your back. I think it gets adrenaline flowing more than anything, and I think at the end of the day, you're excited just to be in that area, in that
Yep.
territory.
Tyler Cook's attempting nearly 700 pounds here, 315 kilos,
15 kilos.
694 on the bar.
Now, for you, my question is, what's it like when you get to deadlifts and you're starting to pull stuff that you've never pulled before? What's that like?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of the same thing. You just don't stop pulling, in my mind. You know, once it breaks the floor, it's a little bit easier. You get a little bit of confidence. You kind of just stay with it and just keep pulling, to be honest.
Now, you're a sumo puller, so the patience for the weight breaking the floor is of the utmost importance. As he stands up, I thought he was going to have that.
Yeah.
It looked like he had a lot of drive out the bottom. So
Good
he'll
attempt
go
on
down
that
the
one.
he'll go down the books as having a 305, a very solid squat, very respectable squat. Here we have Tristan coming up with a 700 even attempt. He is 21 years old, out of Maryland.
21, squatting 700. Coached by Get the Lift.
Bars loaded for Tristan.
Now, if you'll pay attention to where his belt is, he's got a high
Yeah, he
a
does.
high fastened belt.
Lifters in flight B. No more changes to your
Reminds me of another great squatter.
I always wonder with those if it's kind of getting in on the ribs or,
Yeah.
you know, if he's just found a comfortable spot for it. But I've tried that, and it always just feels like it's crunching my ribs.
I watched Eric Lillybridge do it, and I was like, I'm going to try this, and I almost crushed my ribs, so I gave up on it.
All right.
Here we go.
700.
Wow.
I believe he was.
Yeah, he's
I believe he
happy
was
with
2
that.
to 1 last time. Let's see what the judges say. He got 3 this
there
time.
we go.
Well done.
Big hugs to Coach.
Somebody's excited.
Well, you know, he came here for that 700.
Man.
So Jared Martin taking the bar up 80 pounds more.
Well.
355 kilos.
Well.
782 pounds.
Well. Jared Martin is absolutely one of my favorite people to watch squat. Just makes it look so fun. Now, his last one out at 750, he had just a little bit of a sticking point. Just
Yeah.
a little bit coming out of the rebound. But Jared Martin's one of those, as the weight gets heavier, he seems to get a little bit better. So I'm excited to see what he
I think Jared can squat slow, and that's important when you've got 780 pounds on your back.
Now, the exciting part to watch, if you guys are paying attention, is watching the spotters. The spotters get just as jacked as the lifters do. I mean, and honestly, you want somebody that's just excited about the weight you're about to do, just as alert, because, you know, safety is obviously the key when you're getting ready to squat here. As Jared walks it out, hits that depth, and he stands up. Nice and easy. Now, we're going to see what the judges say about that.
Yeah, you called it
yeah.
LS. That was high, so he's got 3 reds on that, which means he can't go to the jury table. Bar speed was fine, but yeah, that's just going to be.
Got to get it just a little bit lower.
Yep.
Doesn't look like he'll have much trouble actually moving the weight. Just want to try to drop it there a little bit. Now, we have Dennis Cornelius coming up with a 392.5. Obviously, that's a record. Dennis Cornelius is synonymous with records at this point since he's coming to the USAPL.
So not a record here. We're just taking
This is American
just
record.
392.
Now, he's taking it up to 392 and a half. Now, he had a little
So
bit
is
of
this a
trouble
record?
with 382, I believe so.
Yeah, okay.
865.
Crowd's on their feet. He's
The
hyped.
crowd is on their feet.
This is only a 10-kilo jump up from his second. I think he can do it.
He definitely can do it. He's gonna have to dig deep a little bit to kind of get to us. And he had a little bit of trouble on that previous squat. But we all know Dennis. We know Dennis is a gamer. And this is what the people came to see. This is what you came to watch. This is your lifter's favorite lifter, Dennis Cornelius. Taking his time, using clock management very wisely. Awesome. He's going to have a shade bit of a lean to the left, I believe.
Yeah. Some downward movement on that.
Yeah. Now,
He gets held back in.
honestly, out of his, I love reading the body language is always awesome with Dennis. Honestly, as he set up and he was walking it out, I don't know if you guys noticed, but you kind of noticed the bar was a shade over to the left just slightly, which is going to cause a bit of a dip into that left side. So if you guys run this back at some point and kind of watch it, a lot of times, and this has happened to me quite a bit, a lot of times I'll get lined up under that bar, and I'll be either lined up to the left slightly or to the right slightly. Now, for those of you out there, if you're in a competition, you have the opportunity to re-rack that thing and kind of reset yourself to go. But if you're like me, once I stand up and I walk it out, I'm too lazy to walk it back in. I don't really want to expend more energy kind of walking it back in.
That's right.
re-racking
You're kind of wasting some precious energy there.
So you already automatically have to tell yourself right then and there, a decision has to be made. Am I going to re-rack this, or I'm just going to stick with what I have and just realize I'm going to have to drive through a little bit harder with my left side to make sure I keep it up.
So stay with us, guys, because we've got 120-kilo plus men coming up on this second flight. We'll be opening up with Jason Mike here in a second.
He's going to be opened up with 600 pounds, 272 and a half. This is Mr. Athletic over everything. They're having to redo. They're redoing the platform.
Looks like we're getting new uprights.
Getting new uprights. That's what happens, ladies and gentlemen.
So do you think they're just making better equipment? Because Ray's coming up, and we need something that can hold 1,100 pounds.
Yeah, one that can hold 1,100 pounds, and the fact that Dennis Cornelius and Jared Martin, they were both well over 800 pounds.
Yeah.
And, I mean, let's be real. Not a lot of people are going to just be repetitively going over and over 800 pounds. I mean, this is big boys. Big boys need big weight. Big weight requires
If anyone out in the audience is listening to us or can hear us, let us know why they're replacing those uprights. If you guys have better answer than us, we see the jury standing up right now, kind of looking over. Meet director Robert Keller is looking at the squat rack. Now, really, what we want is for these lifters to stay safe, and we're going to have some of the heaviest weights squatted in all of powerlifting coming up.
Possibly all of history.
This is the Ray Show coming up for the Open.
It's always definitely considered the Ray Show, but here's one guy. He's actually defending World 120 champion, actually, Mr. Jason Mike, Mr. Athletic over everything. He's out of Houston, Texas. This guy's one of my personal favorites to watch. He can squat as much as he benches. You guys are in for a treat. That's all I'm going to say. As these big boys go, you're definitely in for a treat. Opening up the case of treats is going to be Jason Mike with pretty much his warm-up weight of 272.5.
Is that the fastest opener we've seen so far?
That's definitely the fastest opener. That's an RPE of -12, I believe. The thing I will point out about Jason Mike, ladies and gentlemen, he has been nursing a hip injury.
Okay.
So he's really been trying to get back into the game in terms of his squats. He has a pretty high squat. So he's actually been kind of nursing a hip injury. So as he progresses, as he gets better, you're definitely going to see his weight going up faster and faster. And, of course, that 600 that just flew off his back, that's an indicator of how fast and how much power this guy possesses.
All right, the weights are quickly going to get heavy. Ken Morris has taken us to 295 kilos, 650 pounds out of Florida.
Ken Morris, big man.
Oh, like a gorilla coming
big
out.
Boys, Big boys need big toys. Getting started at 650 opener. Ken Morris, 32 years old, out of Florida. Team Floridian. Ken Morris is exactly what Mr. Clean would look like if he powerlifted. As he walks it back, gets it set. You see the chalk on the face. Good stuff. A wider setup with his feet.
Yep.
Now here's the cool thing that you don't really see a lot with the bigger boys. You don't necessarily see a lot of big boys with that wider stance.
You don't.
In squat. Just a lot of times they just don't have the mobility nor the hip flexibility to really get those legs out that far. So that's awesome seeing Ken Morris like that. Now we have Bo Moore.
Bo Moore, age 52, has been competing for a long time.
And been moving lots of weight.
Opening up 307.5 kilos, 680 pounds.
Bo Moore, Titan from head to toe. I didn't even know they made yellow jackets that big.
Oh, he's doing business.
Ooh. Bo has a few choice words for the squat gods, letting them know you're not good. He just pretty much told Gravity that it's not going to happen, and I'm pretty sure Bo's here to make some he's here to quiet some people. It's not just a ratio, basically, is what he's telling you. And just like that, 3 lifters in, we're already into 700 pounds. You want to see what a baby face and a man squat looks like? Here comes Tommy Hawks, 26 years old from Maryland. Opening up with 322.5 kilo. 711 pounds.
711. Tommy is open all night long.
I like your sock game. I like what you're doing there.
Yeah, that's big on the sock and the shoe game. I saw you, by the way, with them.
Listen, I love Romies. And, you know,
Romalio 3s, different color on each feet and matching socks to boot.
You got to make sure you do that right. That's the only way you can get 2 pairs of shoes at the same time. Stands up with it. That's definitely an opener.
Yeah, that's easy for Tommy at 711 pounds.
Let me tell you something. The weight's just going to keep going up. It's just going to keep going up. We got Trey Dunn opening up with 330 pounds. Trey, 29 years old, out of Ohio, OHIO. Now, Tyree has some of the most amazing photos on Instagram.
Tyree is unapologetically himself, and I love that about people. Just willing to be exactly who they are. He likes playing with norms, social norms, and we're going to see him come out and open up with 727 pounds.
If you ever get a chance, you need to check out the 9 for 9 After Dark pictures. He's hilarious. I just say big man, small shorts, lots of cake. That's all I'm going to leave you with. As he gets ready to open up with 727.5 pounds. And the thing is, he's big like that. Who's going to tell him he can't do it? I'm not.
No, I'm not.
That's a lot of man right there. And that's a lot of weight that just flew off his back. Good depth.
He's going to finish high 700s.
Tyree Dunn. Well done. Coached by Mr. Yes himself, Joe Sullivan.
Now, you were talking about him earlier. Here comes
Here
Joe
he
Pena.
is. These are one of my boys, one of the Texas boys. 19 years old, opening up with 766 pounds. This kid has won everything you can win as a teen. Coming in, opening up with 766 pounds. This is the future of super heavyweight powerlifting. Send you right in the face right there. Joe Pena.
It's like he's got a squat suit on with that
It really is.
bottom position.
Now here's the crazy thing. This kid can barely buy a carton of cigarettes. He can barely vote. He can't drink. Can't rent a car.
So
Can't rent a hotel. But he can squat.
There you go.
He can squat.
Rudy Harbin age 30 from Michigan, opening up with 832 pounds.
832 pounds.
Now, in this 120 kilo plus class, you can weigh in literally anything over 120 kilos. This is our heaviest athlete coming in at 209 kilos, 460 pounds.
That's his. First of all, shout out to SBD for making a singlet that can fit a man like that.
We're going to see 832 pounds on an opener right now.
This is absolute insanity watching him walk up. I'm literally watching the ground quake under his force. This is crazy. Now, again, we got to find out how and why they changed up the rack. But, I mean, I have an idea that, honestly, these guys are huge.
Yeah.
And the weight is getting bigger.
Yep, it is.
The weight's not getting any lighter. That is so much human being. Shout out to his shoe game. I see him. Came through with the Nike boxers. And he stands up with it. Gets a little bit around in the back. But
Wow.
now,
I'm going to hope something went wrong on that opener.
I
He
think
comes
he,
out
I
for a
honestly
normal
feel like he
second.
got out of his group. He had a lot of bounce out the bottom. It caused a little bit of rounding on the back,
Yep.
but he stood up with it. Now, you want to see the strength of a man straight up. That was strength. Because usually that back, if that rack, I should say, if that weight rounds your back at that point, it's
Yeah.
really going to make you dive bomb. But rather than dive bomb, what we saw him do is stand up.
Okay,
Now
what
here's
you
the
all
man,
came
the
to
mythical
see.
legend, the living legend, Ray Williams, opening up with 975.
He's in his zone.
0.5, looking to prove something. Didn't have the greatest squat
ambassador of
show
powerlifting.
at Worlds, so Ray's looking to kind of come out and kind of rectify what he did at Worlds. Though he did move, he moved the way he wanted to move. He didn't move it the way he wanted to move, as he talked to me about it. I'm excited to watch him today. It's going to be a good time. Ray got in here a couple of days ago, and he just got an opportunity to kind of get settled in.
Okay, we're opening up at 442 kilos.
As we expected, everyone's standing up on their seat.
975
Ray's doing the patented Williams. He's doing the Williams stomp and stare. He's going to walk a little bit. He does definitely use the full minute. Ray used to be in one of the bigger competitors. He's actually not the biggest competitor today. But he does, in fact, have the biggest squat, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. Big Dog definitely came to eat. He's getting lined up, and, of course, everybody starts holding their breath as soon as his back hits the bar. 1 step, 2 step, he gets settled. Looks like he's feeling good. He blows out the cold soup. And he stands up with it.
That's an opener for you. We're going to see something big from Ray today. No
Now,
question on depth.
the part that always cracks me up with Ray Williams is it's not the process of the squat. It's not the descent nor the ascent. It's after he's done. It almost seems like he's mad at the weight for even having the audacity to get on his back.
Yeah.
You'll always get a little snarl out of Ray once he's done squatting the weight. And, of course, if he doesn't say give it to me to the judges, then it's not a patented Ray Williams squat.
Now, having seen Ray squat last year at Nationals, it almost seems like he gets more aggressive the heavier the weight gets.
Yeah. And you know what? To be completely honest, I will say this. You're one of those, you're that type of lifter, as the weight gets heavier, you amp up more. I've noticed that. And so with Ray, he's another one of those, is as the weight gets heavier, aggression starts to raise a little bit.
It's almost like you give the weight what it needs.
You well done. You give the weight what it needs. And that being said, Jason Mike gives the weight what it needs, gives the crowd what it needs, and also gives us a smile
Big
as he
smile
sends
from
him out of
Jason.
that. 2-1, good. And, of course, he has a little drawing for Elliott, the head judge right now. And then you guys know Elliott. You know you draw to him, he's going to draw right back at you. Definitely one of my faves.
Okay, Ken Morris is taking the bar to 688.
688. Now, at this point, guys, I'm almost positive once we get to third attempts, there's not going to be anything that's going to be below 700 pounds, which is absolutely insane when you think about it. Ken coming to us from Florida, on Team Florida.
So we just got to see what Ray put in for his second. We're taking the bar to 1030, 1,030 pounds. That's within striking range that he could take a stab at an unofficial world record on a third.
Good Lord. Let's just go ahead and get this over with. Now, we have Ken Morris coming up. Like I said before, this guy is powerlifting's version of Mr. Clean. This is a big man, moving slightly under 700 pounds. He has the wider stance like we talked about before. Goodness. I'm excited to see what this guy gets. He's definitely, now that's 2-1, not good. Now, I'm interested to see, as fast as that weight move, I'm interested to see what Ken's going to put for his third. Is he going to repeat the weight or is he going to go up?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I like when athletes repeat the weight they miss, just so you can secure it. It's a little bit too much of a gamble to move up unless you know exactly why you missed it and it was something you can easily correct.
Now we have big man Bo coming up. Now, if you guys remember Bo from his first attempt, Bo talked a little trash to Gravity. So I'm excited what he says this time around. Now, you guys can't really see when Bo gets ready to start. But, hey, when Bo takes his first step, you watch that left arm. That's going to be the first thing that raises up, like the Bushwhackers from WWF. He stands up, walks it out. Here we go, Big Bo. Big Bo's got a few people standing up, rooting for him in his country, rooting in his favor. Bo's 52 years young from Iowa. He's on Team Titan. He drops it. He stands up with it. Those big eyes. Look at him looking at the people. Like, did you have any doubt? And Bo says, that's good. Look at him looking at the crowd. That's what I'm talking about, Big Bo. With 330 kilo. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. These big guys, the bigger they are, the bigger the personality.
I agree
Bo's
with you.
definitely no exception. He's a funny guy to talk to. He's an awesome guy to watch. I think more importantly, he's one of the most entertaining squatters you're going to run around. Now, speaking of entertainment, like we talked about, Tyree Dunn coming up. Now, he's a shade under 750 pounds, coming in with a 340 second attempt.
Yeah, this is a massive squat as he gets ready in the back. By the way, just a few records for you. Ray Williams, of course, has both the national record and the world record for the 120 kilo. Both of the same weight at 477.5 kilos. I'm guessing they're going to try to chip that, not by a whole lot.
Maybe, yeah.
That's 10 kilos, only 10 kilos above what they put in for their second attempt. So we're going to take a look as we go forward. I'd guess we see at least a chip on the third, if not a few kilos more.
And of course, if you know Matt and Susie like we know Matt and Susie, they're only going to go for that if that second attempt looks super solid. There's no gambling with those people. They definitely make sure that you have to have the weight for them to give you the up call.
Crowd's behind
now,
Tyree.
Another crowd favorite, Tyree Dunn getting ready to go. You saw him slap. That means it's time to squat. First stomp, second stomp, a little bit of a shimmy.
Oh, he's confident.
Now, it lets the weight settle. Big Steve, you want to let this weight settle? Makes eye contact with the head judge. He gives him the down, and
wow, yeah, better than the first. See, that's what I was talking about. A lot of these lifters just kind of get more hyped as the weight gets heavier.
You get more hype as the weight goes. Now, because honestly, let's be honest, basically, when you're doing your opener, it's just to get to the meat.
Yes, it is.
Now, once you get the second attempt, that's around PR City. That's usually around PR time, so you start getting a little bit more hype. Now, once you get to the third, that's usually, it's either uncharted territory or it's territory you've gotten to seldomly. So you haven't been around that third attempt that much. So by the time you get to second/third attempt, you're as hype as you can be.
Yeah.
And especially if you're a squatter and it's your event. If you like squatting, third attempt is usually it's make or break for you. You really want to do a great job. So you want to set yourself up nice for the second. Because you're not going to get that up call unless you have a very stellar second.
You're absolutely right. So here's your brother in socks, Tommy Hawks.
All right. Swag Bros. Here he goes. 749.6, 340.
Dominant.
Very dominant. We'll see what the judges say about that depth.
Yeah, that's good.
They say 3 white. I say 3 white. I say he's right. Well done. 26 years old. Now, we have 360. That's 793.7 pounds being squatted, or attempted, I should say, by a 19-year-old out of Texas.
So coming up ahead, by the way, once squat finishes, we'll have a 5-minute break before we head into bench. So the 120-kilo boys that just finished squatting, they're back in the warm-up room right now, warming up on bench press, getting ready to show us something special.
Now,
but in the meantime, here comes Joe Pena with that near 800-pound squat.
again, shout out to SBD for making knee sleeves that can fit somebody this massive.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're at it, shout out to a few of our sponsors. We got LVD, Lico,
here.
Slingshot, bodybuilding.com.
Nicely done.
Wow.
A7
Fantastic.
Internationals here. GNC, of course, is here.
Don't forget SSP. Got Titan. Okay, Rudy Harbin took a... Wow.
Wowzer. That's like 13.
That's a big jump up to a third.
4.5.
12 kilos, 859, basically 860 pounds.
Rudy Harbin out of Michigan.
Now remember, this was the athlete who absolutely struggled through his first attempt.
Yes.
I'm hoping he cleans it up for the second.
So, I mean, now, I guess you can chalk that up to possibly just having kind of a missed groove, you know. And, honestly, we haven't ever seen Rudy Harbin before.
Nope.
You know, this might be one of his first raw nats.
Yeah.
Sometimes nerves plays a role in that opener, so we'll see how he does with this one. We're hoping that he doesn't repeat in terms of the rounding of the back. So, shout out to Rudy. Has on some Pacquiao boxing shoes. I have those in my closet. Those are amazing shoes.
You are a shoe dictionary.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Nike for making something that can fit a man like that, by the way. It's well over 400 pounds.
All right. Do we see a different Rudy here than we saw in the first attempt? Let's go, Rudy.
Looks like he has the bar set back a little bit further on his back than last time.
Nope.
Now, the thing that you kind of notice with Rudy, honestly, he can't go any lower than he's going, number one.
No, I think he's bottoming out on depth. Yep.
As he goes to stand up, his line of sight starts to drop. So there starts to be a slight rounding of the back and a slight bulging of the shoulder. So that's kind of causing a little bit of that back rounding as he's going to stand up. But he looks like he definitely has the weight. He definitely has that weight, just maybe needs to clean up that technique just a little bit to kind of stand up with it. Now,
okay.
We're at 1,030 pounds plus 7.
Yeah.
So we're at 467.5.
We can't even see the platform.
We can't see the platform at all.
We've got our screens.
We're
we
looking
can
at the
see.
screen. Now, this is going to be the
Last
first time
words
that
from
I'm going to
Coach.
stand up
Yeah.
to kind of check out what we got going on now. Now, if you're paying attention, pretty much we just have a sea of red and just two blues just chilling at the end. You can kind of hear Gino just kind of giving the background of it all. Ray is the first
SBD
man to actually
athlete,
squat
Ray
1,000 pounds raw. He's the first, but he definitely won't be the last. If you have been paying attention to a lot of these raw lifters going on.
It wasn't too long ago when 1,000-pound squats were a myth.
It was an absolute myth, and now we have a ton of guys going. Now, after Ray goes, we're gonna list some of those 1,000-pound squatters that we know of. A lot of those guys are our friends. Ray's beat is just like a grill, so I'm pretty sure he's ready to roll. This is awesome to watch. Now, guys, if you can see how many phones are up in the air right now, pretty much peppering the sky right now as Ray gets ready, walks it out.
This looks good.
Ready for the give it to me to happen. Lets the weight get settled. He blows out the hot soup, drops it down, and he stands up. All right, then.
Yeah.
Now the decision must be Bray Bryce. Do you go?
He's got it.
Do you chip the world record? Do you do it? Now,
Yeah. So based on that second,
now in terms
I
of
think he's got a tough 10 in him.
now in terms of the world record, do you just chip it, or do you try to not necessarily annihilate it, but try to put a few pounds over? Now, for me personally, seeing as how it's just going to be an unofficial, you already own the world record, I would probably just go for the chip and save it for deadlift because I know Ray's been working really hard on the deadlift.
Yeah, I think they're just going to aim for that chip.
Aim for the chip.
So let's wait to see what's put in. I think I can see it over there. I think they put in 490. So some people were guessing if we'd see a 500-kilo squat. I didn't think we'd see that. So, yeah, we've got 1080 on the bar, 490 kilos.
So we got 490 kilos being put on that. Now,
Is that 490 or 480? 480 makes more sense. I'm going to say it's 480 until I can actually see it.
I think it's 490. No? It looks like 490 from here. I think it is. Yeah, it is 90. It has been confirmed. It is 90. Now, we have Ken Morris repeating 688.9.
Crowd's behind him. We're in third attempts now.
Third attempts
These are the heaviest
already.
squats of the entire competition.
Oh, he definitely sunk that one. I watched those hips sink into that one.
So the refs give it.
And the refs say,
There it is.
powerlifting's Mr. Clean, Mr. Ken Morris. Definitely made move. Now we have Mr. Athletic over everything, Mr. Jason Mike. Now this is a cool thing I want to point out about Jason Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy can play tennis very well. He can play golf very well. He can drive the ball well over 300 yards with no problem. And here's the cool thing. This guy can take it off the backboard and dunk. Now, I want you to pay attention to how much this guy weighs. He is not a small man by any means. But his Instagram hashtag is Mr. Athletic over everything. He's a very athletic man. Walks up with some smiles. I love when the lifters walk up, smile at the weight. Jason Mike, Mr. Athletic over everything. He's a crowd favorite for a lot of people. If you get an opportunity, check out that King of Lifts podcast that he just did not too long ago. It's actually a really good one. He dive bombs that bad boy and stands up as fast as he goes down. Well done by just Jason Mike. I don't know about you, but it looks like that hip's starting to feel better.
That's
He
the
does.
personality that I think
I
we all
don't know
love
if you
about
guys know what
powerlifting.
Jason Mike just did, but that is called the Mr. Love Song Challenge. If you get an opportunity, you can go right now and check out the Mr. Love Song Challenge on Instagram. You'll get a huge crack out of it. Jason Mike, I cannot wait for you to listen to this because I'm going to tell you right now, you are completely wrong for doing the Mr. Love Song Challenge during the competition.
All right. Bo Moore.
Oh, Bo Moore. Bo Moore.
We're going to find out if it's a record.
We're waiting to find out if Big Bo's 337.5, that's 744 pounds. We're going to see if that's a record. Masters record.
Meantime, we have Bo Moore up there,
Big Bo.
744 pounds.
Big Bo. I'm excited to watch Big Bo.
So Rudy, who we were talking about with that tough second attempt, he's decided to scratch on his third, so he will not be taking a third attempt.
Which is smart. That's super smart. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're having troubles like that.
Save
I mean,
it for deadlift, right?
yeah, you got to save for deadlift. And at this point, you want to make sure that you build a good total. You don't want to hurt yourself.
USA Power, GNC, Live Well, GNC, Dennis Cherry, SSP. Time.
So what? Okay. So Bo Moore has decided not to take his third.
And
But-
that kind of hurts my heart because I was looking forward to watching Bo.
I have
was
too.
Really,
But
I
this
was-
is a really considerate thing. He decided to let his clock run out to give the athletes more time to go in. Now that's a pro move right
That's
there.
a very pro move. That's from somebody that's been around the block a few times and has consideration. Again, the biggest thing that people tend to forget about powerlifting, it's a brotherhood, it's a sisterhood, it's a family. So at the end of the day, the last thing you want is for your fellow competitors to be put in harm's way any more than they already are. Because at the end of the day, we honestly are voluntarily putting our bodies through some very, very strenuous situations. So if anything else, you want to give your brothers and sisters a chance to kind of get a bigger breath in that minute. as minuscule as it seems at this point, when you're in the back, that bad boy means everything. That minute
Yeah,
feels like an hour.
it
You're
does.
trying to catch a breather.
And you know what? Looking at this flight, it's an 8-lifter flight
It's
anyways.
an 8-lifter flight, so that the
So
turnover
we're
is
taking
already
at
high.
most 8 minutes
And
in
these are
between
not small
1,000-pound
people.
squats.
These are not small people, so we definitely we definitely need to make sure that we're staying safe out here. Now, that being said, there's no weight that's safe when Tyree Dunn's in the room. This is 350 kilo. That's 771.6 pounds being attempted by a mountain of man meat. Sporting
He's
LBD.
going to love that.
He goes with the stomp, stomp, shimmy, shimmy, walks it out in his classic fashion, makes eye contact with the head. He gets the call. Big breath.
Come on, Tyree.
Drops it down, and he stands up
Oh,
with it. Was
wow,
there
he's
ever
happy.
any doubt? Was there ever any doubt? 3 white lights say don't doubt the man. He's good to go, and he gives Joe
Oh.
a nice bear hug around the neck.
You better
Joe's-
watch out as a coach if Tyree comes towards you.
Sheesh.
Okay, we're taking the bar up to 355 kilos. We're just
Tyree-
below 800 pounds
Tyree and
now.
his handler, Joe Sullivan, in the competition for highest book points among coach and athlete. Joe Sullivan, one of my favorite lifters, just an absolute mountain itself. Now, we have 26 years old from Maryland, 355 kilo. That's 782.6 pounds on the bar for Tommy Hawks.
Yeah, his first and his seconds have both looked beautiful
They
so
just
far.
look like straight butter. And, of course, he's one of my favorites because his slot game is ridiculous right now. You got to love the big boys with the style. He's coming out with the red Romies, coming with the Romy 2s.
I think that might be his state flag on his socks.
Yeah,
I'm not
those
too
are
sure.
the state flag of Maryland. Wider stance. Now, we're
Beautiful.
He is spot on with depth. He is spot on with depth, so it can go either way with judges. That's a spot on depth. Well done.
Now, you don't see a lot of lifters make that wide stance squat look good.
No.
That was fantastic. Okay, our last 2 lifters because Rudy decided to scratch. We've got Joe Pena,
And-
followed by Ray Williams coming up.
Now, how awesome is this? You have the future and the present going back to back.
Yeah, we do.
This is awesome. This is awesome to watch right here. I don't think we'll sit anytime soon, but this could be the young man that the torch is passed to in terms of United States powerlifting squatters in the big boy category.
I've seen Joe Pena only get stronger, so let's see what he does with 372.5 kilos,
There's something
821
in the
pounds.
water in Texas. I'm going to tell you that right now. They teach us football. They teach us weights. And they feed us steak. And this is example right here. This is Joseph Pena with 821.2 pounds on the bar. He drops it. He stands up with it.
Fantastic.
And here's the crazy
Not a
thing.
doubt.
Because of his line of sight and the way he stands up, the bar path is beautiful, of course. But it almost looks like he's staring dead at the ground with closed eyes.
Yeah.
Almost praying for the weight not to break. Now, as we expected, 490 kilos is going to be attempted by Ray Williams.
I can't believe it's 490 kilos.
I can't believe it's 490
This isn't
kilos.
going to just touch the national record, the
Yeah.
world record. It's going to blow it
It's
up.
going to blow it out of the water. Now, as I'm a part of the hype myself. Now, as Ray Williams,
1,080 pounds.
1,080 pounds is being attempted by Ray Williams, which is absolutely crazy. Now, Gino's doing what Gino does. He's calling for the loaded up, and everyone is yelling loaded up along with Gino. Now, guys, if you could see how many phones and people are on their toes, on the top of their seats, cameras peppering the sky right now.
We're getting the bar ready right
The
now.
bar is getting loaded. The bar, I honestly feel so sorry for this bar right now. It is literally bending. Now, if you've ever seen an Alico bar bend, I'm watching it right now. Poor Alico bar. Now, it's only fitting that Ray Williams is one of Alico's official athletes because he does so much damage to their equipment. Now, the spotter's loading up.
Spotters, loaders,
They're literally
counting
counting
this weight.
the weight. They are counting the weight. Meanwhile, Big Ray is in the
And I
back
think we're
pacing.
actually getting a rack height adjustment just to make sure.
just to make sure he can clear. Because that's at one point, we'll never see this weight in our lifetime in terms of putting it on our back. But once you get well over 1,000 pounds, the bar has no choice but to bend. So when you stand up with
making a stiff bar look like a noodle right now.
it's crazy. Hey, remember the last time a stiff bar looked like a deadlift bar? Because we're literally looking at it right now.
All right.
The oscillation on this bad boy is crazy. So just being able to control the oscillation of the bar is going to take some effort. Now, right now we're literally watching every man, woman, and child that knows anything about powerlifting in this building. They have their phones out. They have their cameras rolling. They're screaming at the top of their lungs. Gino's going in. The pirate of powerlifting, the greatest voice in powerlifting, has got the greatest squatter in powerlifting, getting him as hype can be.
All
Ray's
right.
ready to roll. He's doing what Ray does so best, getting ready to roll. Legs are jiggling, head's ready to roll. SBD's very proud. The poster boy of SBD, the poster boy of USA Powerlifting, the IPS very own Ray Williams, walks the bar out. He's getting ready to go.
Ray.
Everyone's rooting for you, Big Ray. He blows out the soup, drops it down, and he stands.
Come on, help him
But it's a
up.
no-go.
Stay with it.
Shout out to the squatters. Shout out to Big Ray for sticking with it.
It's not on.
Just let it go. Move out of the way, Ray.
The
There you
important
go.
thing is that everyone is safe.
Now,
I know he's upset, but
He's
the important
upset.
thing is that everyone's safe right now. And
Now-
he's got another shot at it. As soon
while
as
we have an
are.
opportunity, let's give a quick shout-out to the spotters.
Yeah.
Let's give a very big shout-out to the spotters. I do believe in the history of raw powerlifting, we have never seen spotters handle that much weight. I'm positive. I am positive right now.
Me too.
In USAPL raw powerlifting, we have never seen spotters handle that kind of weight, and they handle it with class, they handle it with grace, and more importantly, they handle it with calm.
Yeah.
It's important to be calm when you're dealing with that kind of weight. So shout out to each and every one of those spotters out there.
So in recap, we're taking a look. We had Joe Pena squat huge, making a third look smooth. We had Ray Williams take a shot at not only a chip on a world record, American record, but plan to obliterate it. I have a feeling if the weight was just a bit lower, that would have been a lock on that. He gave it a fantastic fight. We had Joe Franzo working to build a total. We had Dennis Cornelius coming up and taking some huge weights to open as we work our way into these bench presses. Jared Martin we saw.
Jared Martin.
We've got Ryan Stills. So, yeah, we're coming up on some bench press here in
And
just
of
a
course,
minute or
we-
two.
and just of
Hope you
course
guys
we-
stay with us.
We can also talk about, of course, how Bo Moore had one of the classiest moves by not taking his final, but allowing the full minute to run out so that his fellow powerlifters could catch a break. And for us, that have been around for a little bit, it's awesome to see powerlifters taking care of powerlifters. And so far, as this meet's gone, that's been my favorite moment so far. It's just him letting that minute run out so his brothers could get a rest.
Yep.
I don't know why, but that kind of hit me. I'm a softie.
It speaks to you, the brotherhood.
That hit me in a soft spot right there. So
All right, so we will be back with you guys in just
a
a
little
few
bit.
minutes. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Bryce Lewis, 105 kilo athlete. Competed yesterday. Coming at you back for 120 kilo and 120 plus kilo bench press, finishing out this primetime session of USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals 2017. So, we're going to open up with Anthony Gargiulo. Just to recap, we saw some absolutely massive squat attempts from athletes. Ray Williams not quite securing that new American record and world record attempt. The important thing is that he and the spotters are safe. He goes on to squat another day. Spotters loading the bar. We're going to start off at 170 kilos, 374 pounds on this opening attempt. I'll be joined shortly by L.S. McLean, fellow 93 kilo athlete, color of my life. Fantastic personality as one of our lifters from the primetime session on Friday. So, again, opening up here, we saw some fantastic squats. Ray still has the American and world record squat and deadlift and total and world record. So, we're going to get started as we go up forward. Gino, the announcer, back. Head ref back in the head chair. Elliot Feldman. Side refs back. Spotters in place. And we're ready to begin.
Awesome. Now, a quick little info, quick bit of info. I know that we were trying to figure out and find out why they switched those racks out earlier. Had a chance to talk to Nikki. He's kind of the captain, kind of the head spotter of all spotters and loaders. Apparently, what had happened was the left side of the rack had gotten kind of worn down, kind of torn down, so they actually had switched it with one of the racks from the back. But what they forgot to do is when they set up the new platform was to switch it back and put the whole matching set together.
Okay.
So after the 120s were done, they just went ahead and switched out the whole rack to make sure everything matched.
Got it.
To make sure everything was symmetric and they had the proper equipment matched with everything else. So it's the little things. And I mean, like I said, you want to make sure you have some experienced lifters and some experienced spotters, because that would have been something that kind of slipped through the cracks. And once you get well over 1,000 pounds, you want to make sure everything is symmetrical, so that I mean, honestly, your equipment's on point. You want to try to eliminate as much error as possible. So shout out to the spotters again, just for knowing that stuff and being on point. That being said, we have 28-year-old Jared Martin from Indiana opening up with 402.3. That's 182.5.
It's interesting to see some of the specializations of how certain athletes can be extraordinarily good at one lift and then weaker in another lift. So, for instance, we had Jared Martin finishing near the bottom for squats, taking our second lightest opening bench press here. Mm-hmm. He's going to start us off with just over 400 pounds, 402 pounds on the bar.
And that tends to be kind of the pattern.
He's got white there.
What tends to kind of be the pattern that you start to notice is if you get a lot of squatters or a lot of deadlifters, they're not I guess well known as big benchers.
Yeah,
it just seems to be the pattern over and over. And of course on the other side of the coin, you get guys like myself that you're known to be a big bencher. You don't necessarily have the strongest squat nor deadlift. So I mean, in the scope of things, you would much rather be a puller or a squatter than just a bencher, because in terms, I mean, if you're a specialized lifter and all you do is bench, that's awesome, But there's not many squat-only competitions, and I mean, eventually you're gonna have to do a push-pull even if you don't squat. So, I would much rather be a squatter or a puller than just a bencher, just based off of the percentage of a total if you're a 3-lift lifter.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So we've got quite a few lifters taking the same weight here, 413 pounds. We're just above 400 pounds now. I wanted to talk to you, LS, a little bit about how you manage a short flight. So we've got some of these heaviest guys here in our 2B flight that just finished squatting. Mm-hmm. That's an 8 or 9 lifter flight, which is very short. The highest we can get up to is 16. The lowest we can get up to is actually 8 before they have to combine it or give the athletes more time at the end of the flight to recover. So if you've been in one of those, how do you manage that? How does that change your game?
It doesn't necessarily change the game, but it definitely changes your intake throughout the meet. When you're in the longer, the higher populated meets, when you have 10 plus, 12 plus, you almost have an opportunity to kind of relax. When you're in those meets where you only have a flight of 8, like we actually had in the 93s, and I think you had what 9?
No, we had quite a few.
You had quite a few.
Yeah.
When you get to when you have around just 8 people, the biggest thing you have to understand is you have to accept out of the gate that you're not going to have the rest that you would have, if you had 10 to 12. So when you think about it, not everyone uses that full minute. So you have to know right out of the gate that you're going to be having maybe 5 to 7 minutes maybe in between your lifts. So for me, I change as Joe just
on. Yep, Joe Franzo just
413.4.
finished off 187.5 with 3 white lights. Taking the bar for Ryan Stills, too.
Ryan Stills going 192.5.
Yep.
You just have to keep your mind wrapped around the fact you're going to be a little bit more tired than you were before.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't necessarily change your opener, and it may not necessarily affect your second, but it makes you think a little bit more about that final attempt because you don't want to be gassed, especially when you get to deadlift. And honestly, I mean, after a while, that turnover kind of it takes a toll on you a little bit by the time you get to that final pull. But you want to make sure you have juice left. But at the end of the day, I mean, you signed up for it. Number one, you paid for it. Number two, and number three, if you're man enough to sign up for it, you're man enough to pay for it. You better be man enough to finish the job. So at the end of the day, you just got to get it done.
So what you're saying is you just kind of have to roll with the circumstances of the day.
You got to roll with it.
Now, guys, I'm privileged to be joined by, I don't know if you know, Ellis is one of the best bench pressers in USA Powerlifting. Ellis, talk to me about wearing a belt in the bench press. Do you do it? Don't you do it? What does it do?
Now, I try to do it occasionally in training just to remind myself to really engage my brace. In competition, I never use a belt. You get a lot of people that, especially equipped lifters, of course, a lot of times they use it as in addition to actually hold that shirt down. In raw lifting, you don't necessarily need that belt to really hold anything down, but you get a lot of guys that use it to complement the brace, two to just kind of to as extra support.
Yeah.
That belt is extra support that a lot of people like to use, and so the more support you feel, the more you tend to kind of lock in on the weight, and that's one less thing you have to worry about in terms of just making sure that you're braced up, that you're tense, The name of the game with powerlifting is tension. The more tension one can create, the more force one can use.
Sure.
So the more tension you can actually use and add to the body, obviously using that belt, as we watch 424 fly off the chest of Tristan. Wowzer. You want to try to use that tension, so a lot of people use that belt to add an additional degree of tension to their bodies to complement that bench. And you get a lot that actually, they perform better with the belt. They really perform better with the belt. People like myself, I feel like I lose a little bit of torque with the belt. So I tend to stay away from the belt in competition-wise because for me, I don't use a lot of lower body movement anyway. So the subtle lower body movement that I do tend to use, the belt kind of dampens it for me. So it's honestly one of those things. It's kind of to each his own. Some people can use it as a tool. Some people like myself. I mean, we still have a hard time using wrist wraps. So we just watched Zachary Sprinkle, 20 years old, out of Florida, just moved 435.4.
You guys might have lost the.
You may have lost.
Here comes
the
our
feed.
technical support.
Tech
to the
support's going to
rescue.
be on that. As tech support's on it, we'll keep talking it up for you. Now, you just saw Zach just move 424. If you didn't, I'm letting you know right now, he just moved 424 like it was nothing. Now, coming up for is Matthew Cronin out of Virginia, TSA athlete, one of Bryce's very own, opening up with 202.5. That's just a shade over 445 pounds. Matt electing to do his own lifting off. Now, I'm glad that I have you here with me because I've asked you this a million times about lifting oneself off. Now, he must be taken from the page of Bryce Lewis, lifting himself off. Please, please, please tell me about lifting yourself off. I mean, I just want to know, like, what and why.
You got it. So, I've done some experimenting. I've been training by myself, so I've had to do lift-offs by myself, and I just found, first off, that I got pretty good at it, especially if you don't have a maxed-out grip width, and you have somewhat of a range of motion that you can clear the lip of the rack a little bit. We get a few things. You don't have to worry about the head spotter giving you kind of a mixed handoff. Is it good? Is it bad? How's that bar going to sit in your hands? You also don't have to wait for them to get out of the way
Right.
before you get that start command. So
True story.
if you can get the bar in a good position, if it doesn't feel like it's wasting energy for you, I found, a few other lifters have found, that a self handoff is better. You just kind of have more control.
Right.
Here's our 120 star Dennis Cornelius opening up with 534 pounds.
Yeah, like, you guys, it's funny because I think I asked Bryce that almost every year, like, how do you lift yourself off? And I've tried. I'm the type of person, I'll put it this way. I count my PRs of lifting myself off. Like, I live like, oh my God, I just myself lift PR.
So you're one of those guys that gets a lot out of having someone kind of put the bar in that perfect spot.
I'm lazy, is what it is. I'll be completely honest with you.
Speaking of maxed out grip widths,
Cheese and rice.
Dennis makes 534 look like a breeze. Doesn't even check the lights because he knows he's got 3 of them.
Is just he's just a mountain of man, and you know he's just a typical
Let's go to the top of the order.
big Oklahoma boy that just moves a lot of weight.
Yep.
It's awesome watching Dennis. Now, like I said, I talked about Anthony before, who is looking to max out the height cap that we have at USAPL. One of the taller lifters that you'll see in competition. Looks like he's well over 6'5".
Yeah, I think
At
Anthony's
least
just
6'4".
out here having a blast.
He's having a
4 for
blast.
4 right now. He just looks like he's really enjoying the experience, and he's taking 391 pounds for his second attempt here. Yep, nice confident handoff. A bit of a fight. Looks like position stays solid. I think they'll give it to him. Yep, good, but I think the coach is going to make a relatively small jump on that third. No problems there. Finishing out the bench press, moving on to the deadlift.
Now, the kind of just touching back on what we talked about the self lift off and everything. Honestly, I'm one of those. I kind of roll with the punches. I mean, I train alone, so I mean up to once I get around 500 pounds, I like to have somebody
Once
around.
I get around 500. Few people can say that, by the way.
You can say that, so I don't know why you're pretending like you don't. Okay, anyways, now that that's settled, once you get around, once I get in that high percentage, I should say, I like to have somebody around. But for the most part, when you train alone, you almost have to learn to lift yourself off. What tends to happen with me, because my setup is so far away from the rack, because my setup is so far away from the rack, I have to have somebody lift me off because I do have super short arms. You get some people that set up under the rack, pretty shortly. So I mean, it's easy for them to kind of lift it off and get it going. But for those like myself that have short arms and do tend to get a bit far away from the rack, having somebody lift you off actually kind of helps you out. Now, that being said, we have 424.4. That's 192.5 kilo on the bar for Joe Franz. Now, the cool thing about Joey Flex is last year he actually competed in bench nationals. Actually did a really good job, and he had a pretty bad cut up going in, and he still PR'd. I believe he hit around 65, around 465 to 480,
Yeah,
which is awesome.
All 3 of us were there.
Yep,
And
yep.
I think Franzo was cutting until about 30 minutes out. That was a learning experience for him.
I'm telling you.
Still walked away with a fantastic performance. I've seen him press right around 470 or so. So
Yeah.
I think this is a building meet for him.
Definitely building meet for him.
Qualifying meet as we go forward.
Now, a cool thing that I like to point out about these guys is Joe's one of those. Joey Flex, of course, as we see Jared Martin, he's making his attempt at 192.5. Nice and even.
Yeah, nice.
thing I like to point out is like Joey's one of those. You're actually one of those that you have a bodybuilding background as well. Uh, Obviously, there's a huge difference between bodybuilding and powerlifting. Um, but in terms of dieting, we're seeing now with Joey, we've actually seen, we've seen a couple versions of Joey Flex over the years. We're seeing a leaner, trimmer, more jacked version of Joey Flex. And he's actually competing in a higher weight class than he normally competes in, and he's actually doing better. Um, in terms of dieting, in terms of just obviously the difference in dieting and everything, what's one of the biggest things that you found in terms of discipline that you've had to do in order not only to lose the weight but maintain weight from being on stage and or being on the platform?
Yeah, so we're dealing with a different animal. I mean, in bodybuilding, if we're talking about the sport of bodybuilding, we really want to try to be as lean as possible. We don't care as much about barbell performance. In powerlifting, it kind of switches. Barbell performance is our first priority, and body weight kind of comes secondary. What weight class do you think you can perform best? And it's kind of all about managing that. So we find athletes maybe fluctuate between a few weight classes as they try to find that optimal balance of, how can I maintain my body weight? How can I come in at the top of my weight class? And what's the most weight I can lift? Or maybe what's my highest Wilks? Before we talk further, Tyler Cook round out 195 kilos, 429 pounds.
430. Good job, bro.
Yep.
I'm glad you said that because you're like literally walking right into my trap, my death trap. Now, you were successful as a 93, and you're as dominant as they come as a 105. You're as dominant as they come right now. You're definitely at the top of your game, and your numbers keep going up. So I can't even say you're at the top of the game. You're maintaining and building some amazing momentum, some amazing dominance, a very dominant streak you're starting to build in the 105 class. What has been, I can't even say the secret, but for you moving up, obviously a weight class, what has been the biggest difference between your journey as a 93 and this journey that you're on right now as a 105? What's been just some of the highlights, some of the differences?
Yeah, it's funny. I've talked to a few athletes over this weekend who've kind of had struggling performances.
202.5, sorry. 202.5 by Tristan. We got Ryan Stills coming up. The Shark. Go ahead.
So, yeah, they've asked me about my own journey with that because they've struggled with performance and wanted to know, what going up a weight class did. And really, it allowed me to stop cutting and end up with ultimately higher performances. So, if you think that ultimately you're going to be in a certain weight class, but you're not sure and maybe you're not getting the performances you want because the dieting or the weight manipulation, fluid manipulation, all that stuff is just kind of sapping performance, it really made a big difference for me to go up a weight class, and not immediately, but kind of over time, giving myself room to grow, improve strength. Ryan Stills with a slow but controlled second attempt.
451. Well done, sir. 205.
That's not lightweight either. We're above 450 pounds.
Yeah, it was from speaking as a 93 that used to compete against you, and I used to, say it all the time. Those of you guys that know my relationship with Bryce, we have some history, but Bryce has always been one of my favorite lifters, one of my favorite people, period. So, we would get meets and everything, and we were always like, the short, squatty guys that we had some decent strength, but we just didn't have the strength.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we would have kind of nasty cuts sometimes, and I was trying to grow into the 93s, and
Well, it looks like. Sorry to cut you off. Zach set up crooked on the bench,
yeah,
but
it kind of
didn't seem to have any trouble with his second
No,
at
not at
450 pounds there.
So when Bryce decided to make that move up to the 105s, I mean, of course, me being the selfish person I am, I was kind of hurt at first. Came in, had a pretty good first meet as 105, and then from there, I mean, I know he just said he went. It wasn't overnight, but I think he shot up and literally just became as dominant as possible in the 105s, and so now he's definitely one of the best in the game. He's a national champion 2 times now in the 105 division. Getting ready to head to Calgary, Canada to represent the United States yet again, and proud of the guy. Now we just see Matthew Cronin with a beautiful display of strength with 212.5. That's 468.5 bench. Nicely done.
Well, I'm back.
Bryce is back. He had
that
to
was
yell his
exciting.
lifter. You couldn't have told that was a TSA lifter, right? Not at all.
Here
Bryce is
comes
not
Dennis.
invested. He's not invested at all in his lifters at all. So we have Dennis Cornelius coming up. He opened with 434.6, and of course, he's going a shade under 560 pounds. That's 53.5 kilo. Now,
Have we seen 600 from Dennis before?
we have not seen 600
Okay.
from Dennis,
I
but
don't think we'll see it today, but
now
On the bench,
okay.
200 for the 120 kilo weight class is 253 kilos.
So
We have
Gino's telling us we are chipping the
we're
American
shipping the
record
American
right
record.
now on a second attempt. He's obviously had a good training cycle.
Yes.
On a second attempt, we're
Oh,
seeing an
Dennis.
American record. That's a dominant athlete.
I guess if Dennis hits this, I'm gonna have to buy him a beer. But but if he and you know what, it's crazy because I don't have a doubt in my mind he's about to move this weight.
pounds.
This is crazy.
That is right to the ceiling.
He takes his time. 20 plus seconds left right now. The clock.
Whoa.
No.
It
Now
looks
if
like
he's slightly over to the left a little bit. That left clavicle
yeah.
is literally hanging off the bench. That's just brute strength, and you're able to try to do that. I'm sure he'll be back to take a stab at that.
So, you know, with some of these bigger athletes, they'll either repeat that or they might even pass to save some room for
Yeah.
a deadlift as they build. So we'll see if Dennis comes and takes another shot at it.
Now, that
Could have been a
particular case-
technical. It looked
yeah.
like he was paused
Yeah, it was
even
paused.
after the press command for a little long time. So I'm wondering about that.
Now, thing that sometimes you really want to pay attention to, especially when you're benching, is the tension that you take it, that you allow it to come down with. So a lot of times, as that bar goes to come down, you tend to kind of lose a little bit of tension as it starts approaching the chest. So a lot of times you want to try to grow that chest of the bar rather than letting that bar come down to the chest. While it wasn't a bad call nor a bad press, once he got to that 5/8/3/4 point, he just kind of ran out of sync with that lockout.
Anthony's third press.
That is a long individual right there. And again,
Couldn't quite get through that. Talk to me about sticking points. It seems like some people stick right off the chest, some people 4 inches, and for some people it's pretty close to lockout.
yeah, usually that 4 to 6 range off the chest is it's almost everyone's sticking point. Once you get, I would say around that 95+% percentage, that's when you start hitting that lower range sticking point. Now, a lot of times, if you get past that point, you don't necessarily have a sticking point when you get to that 5/8/3/4 point. That's usually a lockout problem. That's usually when you need to start working triceps a little bit more and really holding on to your technique, because a lot of times that's when the technical breakdown starts happening. And another thing that people don't really pay attention to when they are benching is the grip. People start losing their grip when they start driving up, because human nature is when you're pushing something is rather than ball your fist, your human nature is
Just
to open your
couldn't quite
hand.
get through. 192 pounds on that third attempt. But he's
One
going to
night-
walk away with
he's
just
gonna walk
2.5
through.
kilos less than that. So
Not too bad, so it's
yeah.
not necessarily going to affect his total that much in terms of that subtotal. But like I was saying, human nature is when you start pushing something is to open your hand and push it away as you go to, I guess, quote-unquote, lock out. But a lot of times if you just keep that grip and even tighten the grip and squeeze that fist even more as you push through, almost thinking of punching your fist through the ceiling,
Sure.
so to speak, you can tend to have a harder drive phase, and you can actually push through it. And at the same time, you can literally push that head back into that bench and kind of engage yourself with just a little bit more, add a little bit more tension, and kind of get a little bit more drive,
Yeah.
a little bit more PSI as you push through. So those sticking points off the chest, a lot of times that's just making sure that you really, really pay attention to your technical breakdown as you descend the bar. So
Tyler missed his second. We're going to see if he can get this third. Looks a little better.
That's a lot better in terms of drive pace. Now, what we talked about as far as that push
Nice.
point, his sticking point that he had before was right at that three-quarter mark.
Yeah.
Now, if you paid attention, if you go back and you run it back and you look at the tension that he has in his forearms with his second attempt as opposed to the one he had with his third attempt. He had a lot more tension in those forearms because he squeezed a lot more and he pushed a lot harder.
Duo couple, Tina Deneshmond, coach and athlete, Joey Franzo. He's
Little
coming out
power
for his
couple
third.
going on right now. Now we have Joey going with a 435.4. And I'm pretty sure he just did a Jesse Norris there. Little Jesse Norris open up right now. Maybe that's an ode to one of his ex-athletes, Jesse Norris. At 197.5. Well done, Joe.
He's got more in him.
He's
for
got a lot
sure.
more in the tank. So now we saw Joey flex with a lot more left in the tank and squat. Now we see it with a lot more left in the tank on bench. And I'm pretty sure he just got ribbed and trolled by somebody in the crowd.
3 whites, so it wasn't to a judge,
No.
though. All right, Jared.
Jared Martin, 197.5, 435.
By Ross Lepela out of RTS out of Alaska. Come on, Jared. Ryan up next, 207.5.
Jared's taking 197 kilos, 435 pounds.
Now we're going to see if the Leprechaun is happy with this, as he is being handled by Ross Lepela out of Anchorage, Alaska. Jared's driving with that left.
fight. It's just not there. Explains the coach. RTS walks back. They're going to get ready for some deadlifts.
Now the awesome thing about seeing a lot of these again, when you see handlers like your RTS guys, your TSA guys, flex training system guys, when you see, when you look back as these athletes are walking back and you're seeing they're being handled by some really good coaches, they're well-coached athletes. So a lot of times, while they might not say get those attempts, you know for a fact that they have a team of people back there with 15, 16 different scenarios to make sure that they get the best total possible. That's one of the most amazing things about having coaches, having people that handle you, because they usually have a bunch of scenarios to make sure that you get the best total possible, to have the best version of yourself and the best total possible as you finish your meet, especially as you work your way into deadlifts. Now, with this final attempt, we see Ryan Stills with 207.5.
No, man. So that was only a 2.5 kilo jump above his second. I thought his second was a little tough. Looks like 2.5 wasn't there. And also, it looked like they held him at lockout for quite a bit.
Yeah.
The judge didn't see something. So, I know for me, for you, that just kind of saps you just hanging out there
It saps
with
you a little bit.
a max weight in your hands.
And again, Bryce actually pointed it out. When you lift yourself off, you don't necessarily have to worry about that spotter getting out of the way. So you immediately get that start call a lot sooner. Now, when you do have somebody lifting you off, you have to make sure you're as sturdy and as still as possible. So you do get that down call. So a lot of times, head judge won't give you a call unless that lift off person is out of the way as quickly as possible. So that's another kind of drawback to having somebody lift you off. Now, off the chest as quickly as possible, we see Tristan. That is a nice 207.5, and I believe he may have 2.5 left in the tank, but that was a really good 5 kilo jump call. Now, a thing that you need to pay attention to is there is a minimum amount that you're allowed to bump up. You can't bump up just 1 pound. Can't bump up just 2 pounds, but you're only allowed to bump up, I believe, at 2.5. You're only allowed to, at minimum, you're allowed to bump up 2.5 kilo.
Now, something that I'd like to talk about, as we start off this next flight is the fact that for a lot of athletes with low training maxes, a 2.5 kilo jump is kind of just too big. But before that, what a fight from Zachary. 468 pounds gets 3 whites.
Let me tell you something about that press you guys just saw. Not only did he just show ridiculous strength in the speed off his chest, but in the control of the bar path. Because if you watch, that bar shot straight backwards, almost like he was doing an equipped bench. and he corrected the bar path to make sure that he got some vertical movement. So he literally controlled the bar path off the chest and went backwards and went straight up. I don't even want to know what that bar path would look like if you would have actually traced it, but it was pretty much like a watered down L. Is pretty much what he just did with that bar path, but he controlled it. Now we have coming up Matthew Cronin with his final. He's going for 215. That is 474 pounds. Coached by Bryce Lewis.
Come on, man!
Handled by the strength athlete.
Let's go!
Out of Virginia. Gripping up. He gets set up nice and easy. Off the rack to the chest. He gets the call, and it is good to go. Good job, Matt. Now, in my opinion, I'm no expert at this, but I believe he had another 2.5 in him. Now, Bryce mentioned before he got off that you get some athletes that 2.5 jump it's too much for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for a lot of athletes, it's not about the weight. You know, it's kind of like the percentage. So the lower the load, the higher the percentage is for that jump, and it's kind of just too much. So for a lot of female athletes, you know, we have a jump from 70 kilos to 72 kilos, 72.5. That's a pretty big jump. All right,
Now,
Dennis is taking a second shot at that American record.
58.9 pounds, 253 and 1/2 kilos, chipped on the bar,
Now, it was close last
it
time.
was close last time. He got it right to that 5/8 mark. I'm really hoping that he just gets a little bit more drive.
Yep.
Just keep that drive off the chest. Keep that grip on the bar as tight as possible. Keep that degree of tension as high as you physically can. Brace as hard as physically possible. Get the biggest breath that you can. And drive. At the end of the day, the bench press is just that. It's pushing it until you can't push anymore. And he gets to the same point.
Yeah, same exact point.
Now, as you see, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't even think it's an issue of strength at this point. I just think he might be just a little bit zapped.
Could be that.
I think he might just be a little bit zapped because the power off the chest is absolutely rocket. It's just once you get to that point of lockout, a lot of times it has nothing to do with strength at that point. A lot of times you just don't have the energy.
Sure, yeah.
The lockout is just that. It's just locking out. So a lot of times with lockout, it's not necessarily going to be you fighting gravity or anything. It's just having the energy and just the physical wherewithal just to straighten those elbows out. Now, not many people are going to have 500-plus pounds on a lockout, so it definitely sounds like it's easier said than done. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's 200 pounds. It doesn't matter if it's 100 pounds. It doesn't matter if it's 1 kilo. Once you get to that point of lockout, it's just having the energy to just straighten those arms out.
Sure. You know, on Dennis, it looked to me like, I don't know, like his touch point was a little bit low.
A little bit low.
And he kind of drove it back towards his face and kind of had to fight to finish it out. I don't know if that's usual Dennis or if that's something else, but whatever the case may be, he didn't quite seal it in on either the second or the third. But we're starting off the 120-plus kilo boys. Again, this is our shorter flight. So these guys are probably going to be taking attempts a little bit closer to maybe gym speed, what you might be doing when training. We're opening up with Joe Pena here,
Joe
taking
Pena.
363.
The
Now,
squatting
Joe seems like he
phenom.
might be a squat specialist.
Yes, he might be. And here's the thing. I mean, if you look at his build, how he's built, you know, he has shorter arms. You know, they're not the longest. I mean, he's a big kid. And let's
easy
be honest,
opener.
he's gonna go over 400 pounds. But let's not forget also that obviously with time, the bench grows with time
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree.
He's 19 years old, and he's definitely. I feel like he's gonna end up well over 500 pounds by the time he's done in the game.
And he's a young lifter,
He's
we
a
have to
youngster.
remember.
He's a young star. He just has a grown man squat, and a lot of times, your squat's gonna be, your lower extremities are gonna develop a lot faster than your bench. Let's be honest. Now we have Tyree Dunn coming up. He's opening up with 430 pounds. 29 years old, out of Ohio. Handled by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Joe Sullivan.
We've got forecasted totals coming in above 1,900 pounds for these lifters now. So obviously no one has a total until they've got
Did they get the deadlift?
deadlift in. But at the same time,
It's nice to see what pace they're on for sure.
yeah, we've got some
We
damn
got some
big
sick
lifts
totals
here.
coming up, which almost makes me appreciate that 105 class just as much. I'm gonna brag on my buddy again. We got guys like Bryce. We have guys like Garrett Blevins. That 1900 plus. It's crazy to think back in the day, just a few years ago, to see a 105 or even around 1900 was like, okay, maybe. Now it's almost a norm. If they're not over 1900, knocking on 2000, you're thinking something's wrong. And it's funny that right now we have Bryce Lewis. We have him on the line right now because he's a part of a group of lifters that are really ushering that 105 division into uncharted territory, into the 2000 total territory, which honestly. I remember talking to Garrett Blevins, he told me dead to my face, he goes, I don't feel that I can be a 105 and not take it to 2,000 pounds. The 105s need to be taken.
Yeah, the standard
These totals,
is just
it needs to be. We need to raise that standard to 2,000 pounds. That's the type of people that we're dealing with now at this point. These 105ers are the real deal. Their totals are comparable with these 120,
Where's
120
elbows locked on
pluses.
this? Let's take a
Tommy
second
Hawks
to look.
just let it fly off the chest.
Tommy put up a squat clinic in terms of technique on his first, second, and third attempts. It looks like he's going to do the same on bench press. Just a technically sound lifter.
Yeah,
I'm kind of partial to
the technique
the beauty
is key.
in lifting.
A beautiful lift, especially out of a bigger man. It's awesome to see big boys with great technique.
Yep. All right.
Now here's one of
Little
my
fire.
personal favorites, Mr. Ken Morris, who I literally told in the hallway, I've been calling you powerlifters Mr. Clean. He's looking to clean up with his opener here of 446 pounds. That's 202.5.
So just to check in back on our squat flight, Bo Moore actually set a Masters 2 record on his squat.
Wowza.
So we've got a new American record there. Congrats to Bo.
Wowzer. Now, I want to talk about this because I feel it kind of gets lost in a lot of the jumble. The descent of the bar to the chest and the control of the bar to the chest in relation to, of course, the call that you get from the ref. Do you get the start call? Do you get that start call a lot quicker if you get it to your chest quicker?
It kind of depends if you can get it to just lay still. If we've got a ref in the head chair that's very vigilant and they just see that bar stop, that's what we're looking for.
Next question I'm gonna throw at you. A lot of people may want to know about a sinking. If you get called for sinking, what do we mean by getting called for sinking?
Right. So you can get the bar to rest deep in your chest. You don't have to hover the bar directly over your chest. We have to see contact. What we see when someone gets called for sinking is that the bar actually goes down before it goes up. So they will heave into the chest before pushing back up.
And actually use the body in addition. Hold on, we have some technical. Now, right now, what you're seeing is the spotters are moving in and they are bracing his feet. Rudy asked for blocks, so you're gonna have two spotters come in to make sure, because he's gonna be using some leg drive to get this bad boy off. So you want to get some spotters down there to brace those blocks as he pushes off. Now he goes to the chest. He gets a press call. Now, if you guys know Elliot like I know Elliot, who is head ref right there, he's giving some amazing bench calls. The start calls are spot on. Now we have opening up with 474, my man Bo Moore out of Iowa, Team Titan, 52 years young, about to heave 474 pounds off of his chest.
Bo has already secured that squat record. I wonder what he's got in store for bench.
I'm excited. It's definitely going to be well over 500 pounds because that thing flew off of his chest.
And again, we talked about the opener just being that building step. We're not looking for heroics on these openers. We just want to see what it sets the pace at for seconds and thirds.
Now we got Ray Williams. who's opening up with 501.
Now the crazy thing is Ray is not our heaviest bench presser.
He's not our
here.
heaviest bench presser.
You can tell us why.
Now, this is the cool thing about Ray. Amazing squatter. He's becoming a very, very amazing deadlifter. Now, as far as his bench goes, it's getting better, it's getting better, and it's getting better. There was a time when Ray would open up low fours. Now, he's at the point where he's raising it again. Ray's relatively young in the game as far as powerlifting goes, as far as strength sports go. It's just going to keep going up as he gets older, and again, a lot of the more you concentrate on a specific discipline, obviously the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah.
He's starting to concentrate a little bit more on that bench press, so it's getting better as he goes. And you're going to look as Ray gets ready to get set. This is a new addition that he's added to the game. In terms of just getting set up, trying to work an arch. Did I just say a big man try to work an arch?
Yeah.
Yes, I said it.
Uh-huh.
Big boys try to use an arch too. Now, here's the cool thing, of course, with Ray. You see his grip.
It's something that doesn't get talked about enough that I'm curious about. Oh,
It's
so they
too
make
high.
him replace the bar. He says the safeties are too high. Yeah, those are very high. I don't know what's going
Now,
on.
Ray's working with, he's got 10 seconds. Now, does that count against him even when he's asked for adjustment?
It kind of looks like everything was just in for a previous lifter maybe. I'm not really sure. Ray has timed out on his opener.
He's timed out on his opener. But I think I can give it to him anyway. Now,
We're going to find out what's happening here as
Jason's
we
being handled.
sit with us just a sec. So it's possible the rack heights were for the previous lifter, and he may get a relift on that. But we're going to find out here in just a minute.
There's a bit of confusion going on right now. While they're figuring it out, again, we want to give a quick shout out to all of our sponsors. Of course, the specialists we have doing all the filming and everything going on. You have 9 for 9 Media. Shout out to 9 for 9 Media. Of course, shout out to bodybuilding.com for the stream.
Yeah, and I want to talk about My Macros Plus. They're an app that you can help track nutrition with. It's just a fantastic tool, very intuitive to use. So for athletes, making weight, for athletes trying to manage off-season weight, for powerlifters, for bodybuilders, for just anyone trying to maintain a healthy physique. It's a fantastic usable app. So kudos to them and the team behind My Macros Plus. Okay, so it looks like he timed out. That is a missed first attempt. He's going to come back and try to get that on the second. I'm not really sure if he entered in the wrong heights or what happened, but he's going to have to take that on a second.
Yeah. So, Gino just kind of explained, like we tried to kind of point out to you guys, if you get to a point where you go out there and let's say the rack height is too high and you ask for them to change the rack height or you ask them for give you blocks, that time is still counted against you. The clock is still going to run. You don't get a reset. It's not like football. Like if it exchanges hands, you get a reset. You do not get a reset. You have a full minute. Now, like we talked about before, if you manage your time wisely, a minute can be so easy to use.
Yeah.
But
okay.
if you mismanage your time, that minute will fly by. It's either going to go slow-mo or fast-forward. It's whatever you choose to do. Now, here is a bencher. This right here is, like we talked about before, Mr. Jason Mike, Mr. Athletic Over Everything. He is defending world champ.
All
He
smiles
is-
from Jason.
He's a jokester. He's definitely a jokester, and he is a big-time bencher. We may actually see him go 6+ today. Now, in terms of the big boys in the game right now, as far as international competition, you're going to see Kelly Branton is who comes to mind in terms of bigger guys that squat around that 1,000-pound area that actually have a very big bench. So in Belarus, we had an opportunity to see guys like Ray and Jez and those guys. They're knocking over around 600 pounds, while Ray he's in mid-5s, but again he's closing that gap quick, fast, in a hurry. So again,
Remember, you don't have to be best at all three
you don't have
lifts to be best in the
at all,
total. We're back up to the top of the flight here, but I wanted to ask, if you're Ray Williams, how do you manage the pressure of being the best in the world? Does that affect you?
I'm glad you asked that. I actually had a conversation with Kim Walford about this last night, and I told her dead to her face, you are the GOAT. You're one of the greatest that's ever did it. As far as women's lifting, especially in that category, there's never been anyone like her. How do you do it every year?
Yeah.
How do you do it every year?
So what did she say?
You keep doing it. You don't think about it. You just keep doing it. It's the simplest thing I've ever heard in my life. You just keep doing it. You don't think about it. You just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that motivation, I believe in the beginning, and I think I can speak for both of us. In the beginning, when you're chasing a championship of any sort and you're like the new kid on the block, you have enough external motivation to try to get stuff done. You find any and every form of motivation to get you going. But once you kind of get to the mountaintop, you get that championship that you've been chasing. You stop, the motivation starts becoming internal. You have to find that internal motivation to keep you going year in and year in and year in and year out. Now we have Tyree Dunn coming up here with 207.5. He just followed up Joseph Pena. This is 457.5. Now that's a bench press right there.
Now you guys may see that left elbow look soft on the start and the lock. That may be as straight as he can get his elbow.
Again.
And that's fine as long as you let the refs know, hey, this is my starting position. This is where I elect to start.
Awesome. That's awesome because we're actually going to talk about Dennis Sierra, who's arguably the greatest bencher that ever did it as far as men's bench press has gone, who's a 93 and a 105 presser. Dennis's natural build is he has almost a naturally bent to his elbow. So a lot of times at meets, he has to literally show the judges how he has that natural bend in his elbow before he even gets started, so they know this is my lockout.
Yep.
So any of you bench pressers out there, that might be something that you want to look into doing. Let the judges know how you're anatomically built right from the beginning, so they see your makeup before you even get started, because you don't want to get called for soft elbows if you don't have soft elbows. That being said, we have Ken Morris with 210 that just flew off the chest like so with the lockout. He gets the call for rack. And my personal powerlifter's Mr. Clean.
I think Ken's got quite a few fans in the crowd
looking to
there.
go 3 for 3. If any of you guys out there are wondering, yes, I did get the okay by Ken to call him Mr. Clean in the hallway. You can't call a man like that Mr. Clean without getting the okay from him.
So if you got the okay to call Ken Mr. Clean, I got the okay to call Dennis Redneck Strong.
Redneck Strong is Cornelius, which is that could not be the most more appropriate name. I'm not joking right now. Dennis looks like if you walked into a room, he's standing by himself. If he's not considered, if you don't call him the boss, then you're probably not going to get past him.
So this is a big jump for a bench press. Tommy took 17.5 kilos.
Wowzer.
Up. This was our technician here taking 479.
So for pretty much this 40-pound jump.
And it looked no
he
different.
handled it like so. So I'm looking at him to probably go around 225 to
I think you're right.
225 to 227.5 is what I'm looking at. I'm going to Tony Romo it.
Yeah, we got thumbs up over there.
So we're going to see what Tommy ends up jumping to.
Here comes Rudy. And by the way, we've got Ray coming up next. He will be retaking that opener that he timed out on. He actually did press it, but it didn't count.
Didn't count because he had already timed out.
Didn't look too bad, but I think his head will be a little bit more clear this time as he approaches the bar.
Is that? I believe it's 220. Is that? Yeah, 222.5 is going to be Tommy's next. Now we have 227.5. That's 501.5 pounds. About to be attended by Rudy. Yeah, that's got to be kind of hard for athletes of that caliber like Ray and like Dennis and like Kim. Unfortunately,
well, I mean, I think you're kind of like expected to do well.
You expect, and there's some added
if you
pressure.
do it for yourself, that might be freeing.
Yeah.
But if you think about what other people are kind of demanding of you, that might get in your head a little bit.
Like that we had kind of talked about earlier, as he gets ready to press this 501, hits a sticking point. At some point,
we'll see him try that on third.
Yeah, at some point in this sport, it's always like, hey, you know what? You did well. So what are you gonna do next? What are you gonna do next? What are you gonna do next? So for a lot of these, for a lot of these guys, there's a bit of added pressure because people want to see them do more weight. They want to see more reds. They want to see more reds stacked on. Hey, that's awesome that you squat 1,000 pounds.
Here's our boy. Here's our boy
nice
Ray.
To see you squat 1100.
All smiles, crowd
He's all
behind him.
smiles, and again, at this point, you just want to have fun. You want to have fun. You want to get on the board. You want to get this 501.5. You're not necessarily thinking about records at this point. You're just thinking about getting on the board, getting an official total, and trying to get to Canada to represent the United States at this point.
Yep.
Now, for a lot of you guys, sometimes it's early, sometimes too late. I'm asking right now, are you looking at using the Arnold as a tune-up in between?
Yeah, so I talked to a few other athletes who are doing the Arnold and Worlds, and for those listening, the Arnold is a high-level competition.
Perfect. Good job. That's an opener.
Is Ray on the board?
Yeah, I believe he's on the board.
He's on the board.
And I feel like the judges trolled him a little bit on
There
that. They waited to let him know.
We might see 10 kilos or so for a third attempt from him. But yeah, with the Arnold as this high-level competition, this invitational competition in March, and with Worlds in June, it's
a
not too
good
much of a
halfway
time
point.
difference in between. So you have to decide: do you want to peak higher for one or the other, or both?
You some
or
that elect
train
not
through
to.
one of them.
Yeah, you get some that elect not to. And those like myself, if if you have that opportunity to do both, like you almost want to use it as a tune-up. Drive from Bo, and he does not get it.
Yeah, it's
227.5.
right there.
He'll go back for that one.
Yeah, if he focuses on that, that's right at that point where I see him getting that on a third if he can.
Now, we got 587.5 pounds going for a record. Jason Mike. Now, when you have a record, you can chip. I believe he's trying to chip right now, so they brought out the chip plates. But yeah, and the thing is with the Arnold, it's such a fun meet. It's a very electric, high level, just high energy meet.
Yeah, it is.
And it's the invitationals. They are IPF/NAPF meets, so you can set a world record at these meets. And they're your first taste of that's your first taste of international competition in terms of the international season, I guess, if you want to call it that. That's your first taste of like your big time international meet. So the Arnold is one that, especially with the invitationals, they invite, 1 or 2 lifters from other nations to compete.
Okay, crowds
Now,
on their feet.
Going
We've
for
got this
an Open
national
American
attempt.
record, this is Mr. Jason Mike, Mr. Athletic over everything.
I've seen him do this at least a dozen times in training.
Yeah.
You just have to duplicate it here, Jason.
If you don't follow this man, you should, because he's a very, very entertaining person to follow.
And it's not there on this attempt.
Not there. Now, a thing that you can actually pay attention to when you're watching a lot of these benchers, in this particular case, now, a lot of benchers, a lot of lifters that matter, when they get to bench press, they try to use leg drive. Now, leg drive, be it so subtle, sometimes you can initiate that leg drive too soon.
Jason's grabbing his hamstrings. I'm hoping he's okay, that something didn't happen.
A lot of times they'll initiate that leg drive a little too soon, and it can actually end up being counterproductive in your bench. So a lot of times you want to kind of control the time of the leg drive, because leg drive is really about the timing. It's not necessarily about the movement. A lot of people like myself, I don't necessarily use it a lot, but when I tend to use leg drive, it's a very subtle movement that you try to use. I mean, it's all about the timing. Now, with Jason, you saw him, he used a lot of leg drive initially out of the gate. Now, the explosion with that leg drive, a lot of times it's going to lead to maybe some cramps in the hamstring. So hopefully nothing's wrong with Jason. Hopefully he just had a little cramp there, kind of got locked up a little bit, and he might just be coming back ready to roll. Now, we have Joseph Pena with a 396.8. That's 180 kilo attempt coming up right now. Just a small shade under 400 pounds. And like I said, guys, this kid is only 19 years old. So we're going to see that total climb soon. It's even as easy he
Good
drives.
call from the coaches.
That is a spot on call from his coach. 3 white lights. Texas's very own Joseph Pena. Now, coming up now, we have 468.5. That's 212.5 from Tyree. Again, if you follow this guy, if you know anything about this guy, I guarantee you'll fall in love with him because he's hilarious.
Tyree's second looked really good, justifying a 5 kilo jump up. 468 pounds coming for his third. Normally, around this point, we'd be talking about forecasting totals. If we had a tight class or something like that. We don't have a score sheet in front of us right now, so we're reading off one of the large monitors here, talking about some of these lifters. And fortunately for us in this class, we kind of have two runaways, Dennis Cornelius and Ray Williams.
Yeah, so
However,
really concerned with just right now, a lot of times they're going to be concerned with more with their Wilks and just PRing and qualifying for the Arnold's than anything else. Right now, we have Ken Morris coming up. Ken Morris is by far right now my favorite. He is by far my favorite big man to watch right now. Don't really know him that well. I just really, really like watching him lift. And I think as lifters, you tend to find a person, you start championing that person, and you just start really, really just liking him. And this guy's definitely one of my favorites. He's going to be my favorite. I love his intensity out the gate. He comes around the corner, ready to roll. I'm going to disappear for a quick second because I'm going to yell for this guy real quick.
I got you, LS.
Here we go, Ken. Let's go, bud.
So Ken only took 2.5 up for his third.
Finish strong, Ken. Let's go.
Let's see him make work of 468 right now. Now to the handoff. There's the start.
Push, push, push. Oh, go. Push that left. Look to the left.
Yep. Just a little stanky. It's sometimes tough to get both those arms to cooperate
man.
with you.
It
was a tough
looked
fight.
good. It looked good off the chest. It just, like I said, just getting that, just having that energy to finish that push. So he'll go down with a pretty sure. I believe he went 210. I think Ken went 210.
Yeah, he's got 210 on his second.
So now we got Tommy Hawk coming up. He is going for 490.5. That's just 222.5 kilo. And I just said just. Like, that's like, I didn't mean that.
I mean, honestly, based on his second, I thought he'd be good for more than this.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
thought it
expect
was
this to
honestly
be too difficult.
Honestly, I feel like he should have started a little bit higher, maybe around the 451 range, because he should be taking a stab at 230 right now, in my opinion. Or at least 227. He's moving weight really well right now.
Yeah,
he's going to build a really nice.
This is a fantastic.
He's building a
bench press.
really nice total right now. He's forecasted at a 1984. Definitely think it's going to be more than that, especially if he hits this right here. He made slight work of that.
And there we go.
And now I cannot wait, Tommy. I cannot wait for you to listen to this playback. Because I want you to know right now that I'm officially mad at you for just going for 222.5.
It's official.
But you're the real deal, man. 26-year-old, that kid's the real deal. I'm excited to watch and see what he ends up doing. Now we have Rudy coming up here. He's going to take a second stab at 227.5. That's 501.5 pounds. So basically we're doing with 502 pounds, 500 pounds. Now this is the crazy thing. I'm almost positive every one of these fellas, this weight that they're putting on, they've done it. But the one thing that you have to realize is when you are pressing, especially in a powerlifting meet, you have to pause the weight. If you're not pausing the weight, odds are if you're not pausing in training, it's going to be hard to pause it in a meet. Typically, you're going to have about a 10 to 12 pound drop off between your pause and your touch and go for the most part. So it's exciting to watch these guys go, but that's one thing for you guys out there in training land that are training. Just kind of saying you're going to have probably a 10 to 12 pound drop from your pause to your touch and go. Touch and go and pause are usually different. You get a few people out there that can actually pause more than they touch and go. I'm not one of those.
Well, I mean, that's why it's so important to either modify your numbers when you come to take attempts or pause your training stuff.
Exactly.
So you have a really good idea when you're in the competition. So this was Rudy's second attempt at 227.
227.5.
He's going to finish with his opener 215. Just too heavy on that second. I think he's a little off his game today.
Yeah.
We know it's not a weight cut, but it could be travel. It could be performance. It could be nerves or something else.
But what if it was a weight cut?
We saw his first squat even was already
Yeah.
a grinder. So, either it's equipment or something else. We want the best for him. For sure.
The thing that people have to understand is we watch Bo Moore push through it. Sorry.
Wow, the highest stick.
I'm sorry, I kind of peeked you there. As we watch Bo Moore go for that push through, a thing that you need to really pay attention to, a lot of people don't understand is how your body is affected by travel. It doesn't matter if you're traveling 50 miles. It doesn't matter if you're traveling 500. It doesn't matter if you're traveling 5,000 miles.
Yeah.
How your body responds to travel is a huge thing. Now, we have Ray Williams here that's coming up with 237.5. That's 523.6 pounds. Ray, who is probably hoping to get anywhere around 550 to 560 today. He's going to, not necessarily settle, but, he's taking what's there. Now, if you're coached by Matt and Sue Gary, that's what you're going to do. You're going to learn to be, number one, patient, too, and take what's there. So right now what's there is 523 pounds because you got a no lift call on your first attempt.
Yeah.
So right now we have Ray getting set up with that 237.5. I'm expecting him to make pretty quick work of this. And again, after Ray, there's going to be Jason Mike at 266.5. So you're going to see him get lift off. Now, in terms of Ray's grip, you're going to see that Ray doesn't have a very wide grip. It's just slightly outside of the shoulders.
Come on.
And it flies off the chest.
There we go,
Now,
Ray.
obviously, you see there a second attempt pretty much used for a final attempt. But when you're with Matt Gary, you're going to do what he says. You're going to follow protocol, and you're going to build a good total. Ray's still going to get a really good total. And don't forget, folks, we've literally seen Ray Williams miss a couple of lifts at some point and still get a world record total. That's just how ridiculous the guy is. So the biggest thing that you need to really pay attention to when you're with any meet, for that matter, is making sure that you make as many attempts as physically possible to build the total that you want to build.
So let's watch the spirit right now of Jason Mike as he's waiting for this bar to be loaded for this second shot at this national record. Man, he's one of those athletes with just a wall of personality here. He's coming out to the barbell. He's all business. We talked about travel being something that can affect athletes, tapering, peaking. We want to get behind Jason and see if he can get this right now.
Let's go, Jason! Focus on your leg drive! Focus on your leg drive!
Looks strong.
Leg drive, let's go!
No, it's not there. Right off the chest.
Now,
Could have been that hamstring off the second attempt. Just means that it's not there today here. In between, we're going to see if we can get you guys a little bit more information there, see what happened on that second attempt.
Now, we have a lot of big guys moving a lot of big weight. The crazy thing you really need to start paying attention to now is going to be, of course, we're not necessarily going to be really paying attention to what Ray we are, but we're not. We're not really going to be paying attention to what Ray and what Dennis are doing right now, but we're going to be watching what everybody's doing through everyone else. Now, I mean no disrespect when I say that. I want to make sure that people understand. I mean no disrespect when I say we're not necessarily going to be paying attention to what those guys do, and we're going to be watching what through whoever else, but we're really going to watch and see how maybe we're going to have a little bit of chess being played. Maybe we're
People are going to try to make that podium spot.
Yeah, we're going to find out who's going to try to make the podium spot. We're going to find out who wants it the most. And that's the best part about this sport. Now, while you might have two clear runaways, you're still going to have people fighting to make plays. And at the end of the day, man, that's what it's about.
And remember, I mean, there's a few purposes for coming to nationals. So
Right.
On the one hand, we've got people trying to make a national team.
Right.
They want to go to Worlds.
They wanna go
for
to
a lot of
Worlds.
other people, the national championship is the goal. It's getting a high
Right.
podium spot. It's finishing on the podium.
Some people to go to the Arnolds.
Yeah, exactly. Making a qualifying Wilks score, getting into the Arnolds. Or for other people, it's just about kind of getting that experience, that body of experience,
Yeah.
so that you can be a better athlete. And
I
remember,
tell you, for
we're
me,
looking right now at a crowd of people that are getting shirts thrown at them.
yeah,
And I hope you guys can hear it. That's the energy,
That's the energy.
and the festival-like experience that this
people
Raw
that have been
Nationals
here
has
all
become.
week long.
Yeah.
Now, for me personally, my first nationals, my goal, it wasn't about winning. I mean, obviously it's about winning. I'm not gonna lie, but it wasn't not just about the winning, but it was also about people that I was just obsessed with, i.e., your Brad Gillingham. Brad Gillingham he's been a staple in the powerlifting community since as long as I can remember. He's one of the greatest that's ever done it. He's an IPF Hall of Famer, and he's a credit to the sport. For me, being able to lift on the same platform with my heroes was one of the biggest charges for me.
Yeah.
4 years ago, I should say, in this very same room, it was my first time meeting David Ricks, meeting Superman David Ricks, meeting a living legend. And not only watching him lift, but lifting alongside him, competing alongside him, competing with him, and eventually becoming teammates with him. So it's everyone has their reasons for coming to nationals, and
For those of you guys who are athletes listening, who compete at the local level
Mhm.
but haven't made it to nationals, look, if you have the qualifying score to get here, it's really a different experience
It's
to
a
compete
very
at the
different
national level. So
experience.
don't feel like you don't belong here. Don't feel like you're out of place here. This is a competition for everyone.
And at the end of the day, believe it or not, it sounds as cliche can sound, but this is a family. This is a very close-knit community of a lot of people that just want everyone to do well. And we've gotten to a point now in this sport there's been enough division, and there's been enough, just I want to say just trolling and hatred amongst the masses that, what, this is one competition where so much unity can be found and so much unity can be seen. And for us as lifters, as competitors, it's an opportunity to add people to the family. So if you want to be here, if you want to come here, this is if you want to make it to 2018 Nationals in Spokane, Washington, it all starts with, one, going to a meet, two, most importantly, becoming a member of the USA Powerlifting, going to a meet, getting a qualifying total, and just getting in the mix. Because I'm telling you right now, there's somebody out there that's stronger than both Bryce and myself that honestly just doesn't know how to do it, just doesn't know how to
And
get
we
here.
want those people here.
We want you here. It is as asinine as that might sound, we want somebody here that's going to beat us. Because eventually you're going to be the representation of the United States Powerlifting Association that's going to go to the IPF, that's going to go to these world meets, that's going to represent this this country internationally, and it's going to bring home the gold. And the end game is to represent the country in the best way possible. And the only way that's going to be done is by putting the best people possible. And Bryce and myself, we both had an opportunity not only to go to to go to the world meet, but also to represent the United States. And you know what? Right now, Bryce is he's punched his ticket. He's done his work.
I did. I punched my ticket
You know.
yesterday to Calgary for 2018 Raw Classic Worlds.
Yeah, man. So it's and which is awesome the way our calendar runs. We'll pretty much do the 2018 Calgary Classic Worlds, and then we take a few months off, and then we have 2018 USAPL Raw Nationals in Spokane. So the USA Powerlifting calendar it isn't necessarily backwards, but it just the way it runs. Your reset comes quick, fast, and hurry
It
right
does,
after.
and you have to perform again at a high level.
No, now this is the crazy part. Back in the day, when my first couple world teams, we used to have Raw Nats in July. The first couple weeks of July, so we would go
And when was Worlds?
mid-June.
Wow.
It was mid to late June.
Okay.
And you had less than a month, and that was like the first couple of worlds that we had Russia and South Africa. They were both that way, so you were almost guaranteed to have a very, very bad turnout.
So we're gonna throw it to a few sponsors real quick because we had a T-shirt throw in here. Everyone was getting hyped and grabbing some T-shirts. But we had A7 throwing out some T-shirts.
Yes.
We had Titan. We had LVD. GNC is here. Bodybuilding.com is providing all of our streaming. So we're honored to have all these guys here. SSP is the brand for drug-free athletes.
Shout out to Dennis Sierra.
9 for 9 is doing all of our meet photography as well and videography. Posting for USA Powerlifting and IPF as well. So we've got some athletes warming up in the back for deadlifts presently. We're coming out, opening up with, again, our 120 kilo athletes. The bar is getting loaded right now. As we're counting down the clock, we're almost at the point where no more changes to attempts are being allowed. And then we've got a short 3 minutes before people are going to start getting some totals. And the bar is going to start being deadlifted as we finish out Raw Nationals. This is our last session of Raw Nationals. It's been a long week. This was a competition from Tuesday all the way through Sunday, so a little bit longer than most of the previous competitions. And we can set our sights on Spokane, Washington as we go forward. This is going to be the first meet in I don't even know the history of competitions long enough to know if a competition has ever been on the West Coast.
Oh, that's very true.
but it's moving
definitely
over
gonna
the
be
West Coast
first
now.
Raw. It's gonna be the first big time Raw national championships on the West Coast, especially the Pac Northwest.
Yep.
That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And-
I'm always curious, like how the turnout's going to be. The attendance at Raw Nationals has gone up and up and up.
Well over 1,000. It's almost an expectation to have a Raw Nationals that's over 1,000 people.
Well, the growth has been crazy. 2014 was my first Raw Nationals. It was just a little bit over 400
a
athletes.
little over 400 people, yeah. And
Um,
now it's almost expected. If there's not 1,000 people, I don't feel like it's Raw Nationals anymore.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Scranton. Scranton was gargantuan.
Scranton, we had about 1,200 people enter.
And then Atlanta, Atlanta was no exception. Atlanta was it was like near 1,400, 1,500, or did it drop? Atlanta dropped.
It's been all right around 1,000.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what the exact numbers were.
And so we're sitting around 1,100 right now.
Yep, I think so.
And so that's it's almost become the norm in terms of USAPL Raw Nationals to having well over 1,000 lifters, 1,000 competitors. And that's not including volunteers. That's not including the spotters and loaders and the refs and everything else. So I mean, you're sitting around 1,200 people. You know, once you get your final count of it, everybody just to make this thing run, make it roll, and of course sponsors and everything else, and of course, who can forget Gino? It's not an official event unless you have Gino.
Yeah, Gino's been a staple of these competitions, kind of keeping the energy high, keeping the crowd engaged. We're doing our best on the stream to keep you guys engaged as well. If you guys want to give us a shout out, you can follow LS McLean at
LS McLean. I'm just LS McLean at everything.
LS McLean.
On all
You
social
find
media.
me at Bryce_TSA.
And or you can just Google him.
Or you can just
He's Googleable.
Google us.
He's Googleable. I don't even think that's a word, but we're gonna say it's a word.
So what do we expect to see from some of these big deadlifters? I know Dennis has been having a fantastic deadlift training
His
cycle.
training block has been ridiculous.
He's been working with Reactive Training Systems, one of the clubs here, hosting a lot of athletes. I've seen him put up 720 for quite a few repetitions.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen him pull 800 in a kind of a backyard meet on a random bar. So we're going to see what he can do on
some
regulation
official stuff.
equipment as he comes in.
Of course, what can be said about Ray Williams that hadn't already been said? But yeah, Ray's going to be pulling well over 800 pounds. We've seen him take shots at 400. So, we'll see him pulling some real weight. You see a lot of these other guys. There's a lot of guys out here that are going to be pulling well into the 7s. Some touching on 8, and it's kind of cool that we have those guys here pulling on 8. And of course, like I spoke about before, we have Brad Gillingham, who has pulled 800 well over 100 times in competition. So you gotta keep that in consideration. That being said, getting things started off in the 120 class, we have 260 being attempted. That's 573 by Joseph Franzo, Mr. Joey Flex himself, the head honcho of Flex Training Systems.
Though.
He's let the thighs out today. He's feeling good about his body. I'm telling you that right now. He's going to let you see the thighs with baby powder all glistening on his body.
There we go, Joey.
That's some
Quick
speed right
work
there.
of that opener.
RP about 7.5 to 8. Well done, sir.
Joey and I started off back at the same gym in Southern California, so we go way back.
And it's crazy. Fast forward to present day, these guys literally own part of the USAPL at this point. They have an army of athletes. I said it. I can say it.
Here comes Matt Cronin opening up with 260 kilos.
You guys, you see that no comment.
Strong.
That Bryce, you see the no comment Bryce gave? No comment at all. Like, well, yeah, I do what I can.
My MO is to just ignore things.
I get ignored by Bryce quite a bit.
All right, let's see Blake come out with 622 pounds. Now we might have a few people trying to secure some spots on the Masters team as well. So we'll take a look at some of those athletes. Earlier on in the day, we had a few athletes perform at a high level. So remember, a lot of these athletes in these primetime sessions don't have to just be concerned with who else in the primetime session is doing well, but they've also got to do a little bit of research. They've got to look at who in the day during the daytime 120 and 120 plus kilo sessions were doing well and performing well, and then make sure that they're out totaling those athletes too, because The worst thing you want is to be a primetime lifter and think you did really well, and all of a sudden find out that someone in the day beat you and you're not going to Worlds anymore. Sorry.
Yeah, man. So
So
here
that's
we
up to the
have,
coaches to make sure they're checking those scoreboards.
and for I mean, and a lot of times that's really good. Like I tend to try to keep a team of people as we have Blake Atwell pulling Yuri Belkin going beltless, 622.8. Now, for me, I always find it good. I like to have I always like to have 2 to 3 in my corner. I always like to have one to actually keep an eye on the numbers. I like to have one that literally their job is to make sure they get the number in. And, of course, I have one that's almost like the heart and soul of it. Just make sure they almost facilitate everything. Like I always like to have 2 or 3 people.
Well, I was going to say, don't forget the moral support. Your wife is always there.
Oh, yeah, always. Like you have to have some emotional support is almost the biggest thing. You have to have somebody that believes in you sometimes when you don't believe in yourself. So it's huge to have people there in your corner. And for me, like she's always been there from Jump Street. So you just want to make sure that that you have as many people there as possible to keep pushing you. That being said, we have Tristan coming up. He's opening up with 628.3.
Come on, Tristan. More than this at the Arnolds. There you go. This is good for Tristan.
All right, Tristan opened up with an easy 628.
Tyler Cook coming up with 302.5. You know what that is?
Oh, Gino's favorite number, which is
Oh.
technically 667, by the way.
Yeah.
A little cheater. Tyler Cook's taking 302.5 kilos, 666 on the bar.
Oh my goodness.
Tyler Cook.
I'll openly admit this. I was so disappointed with, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of disappointed because I thought during my competition that they were going to put 666 on it. I've only, at Arnold last year, I put in my third attempt 666 just so I could hear Gino say, I'm not even joking. It's like, do you want to try to go 670? He's like, no, let's go 666 because I want to hear Gino
I think I
say
need 302.
Yeah, like, we'll go 302.
Tyler's taking 302.
He's just going to go 302. Take the 0.5 off right now.
The guy down there doesn't look like a little.
So we got Tyler Cook. Getting everything set up, ready to roll. Chest up, beard looking nice.
Okay.
Stand, and he finishes.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, that's a little slow for an opener.
Now, here's the thing. As you get to rolling, the thing you really want to start paying attention to as we start cranking things up a little bit and Ryan still gets ready to come out is you're going to start feeling the effects of that squat. Now, it's very, very important, again, I always try to point out, it's very important that you try to stay within the realm of your technique when you're in squats because you will be affected. The back is going to get affected. Honestly, that posterior chain is going to be affected by not necessarily a bad squat, but say a sloppy technical squat by the time you get to that final pull. So you want to make sure that you try to, just conserve the body as much as possible because when you get to those final pulls, you want to have as much juice left in the tank as we see Ryan Stills just rip 672 but did not get the call. I'm assuming it's because of shoulders.
So if I had to look at that again, it looked like either his hips were not locked out, his shoulders weren't locked back.
Now, I'm thinking it's shoulders.
It almost looked like he went down before he got the down command.
Now,
but we're gonna follow up on that in just a minute as Jared Martin comes out.
Jared Martin opening up with 312.5, 688.9.
A little slow for him. Again, he was one of our big squatters.
Yeah,
so
big squatters.
Putting up a big squat and a big deadlift.
That's actually, it's kind of hard. So I mean, you really have to work on just staying within yourself. Because around this time, especially if you're at that top tier as far as your squat, now I can definitely speak about you on this because you're one of the most well-rounded lifters in the game right now. So you're always in that top half. I was going to say top third. You're always in the top third with your squat. You're going to be in the top third with your bench. You're going to be usually in the top quarter with your deadlift. So, and all of which you worked hard on becoming the final 2 or 3 lifters, and you've been working on that for quite some time now. When you're at that point and you've got a big squat, odds are you're gonna have just as big with a deadlift, and you're gonna be kind of zapped. So, kind of take me through like your train of thought when you're having to do those type of things. As we watch Dennis Tornelius open up with 320.
Let's go, Dennis. He's opening up with 7:05. This should not be a problem for him at all.
Not at all.
Yeah. Shoulders.
Good.
Does he finish back? Yeah.
Yeah.
3 whites on that. So I briefly want to just talk about Anthony coming up here. Anthony is a sleeper of an athlete.
Yes, he really is.
Anthony was our first squatter all the way through,
Mhm.
our first bencher all the way through, and he came here to deadlift.
Oh, yeah. And when you look at him, guys, there's, in my mind, I don't even see a 120-kilogram man. Now, I'm trying to see what he's initially weighed in at.
He's 117, it looks like.
So he's a relatively light 120 guy. So
115.
Around 115. So he's definitely a lighter lifter.
Let's see him have some fun today.
He
He's
is
opening up with 727 pounds. That's
And
a
no
big
joke.
pull.
I mean, he's a big man. He's got a few cuts on him.
Oh, he came to deadlift. Smiles
Oh
on his
man,
face.
I'm excited to see what he ends up doing as far as his deadlift.
Works out at Fitness Factory in Rockaway, New Jersey. That's Dennis Cherry's gym.
So yeah, in terms of managing fatigue between squat and deadlift, there's a few ways. I mean, sometimes athletes in training, you try to get all 3 lifts in on the same day, so you get a little bit of practice of what that game day fatigue feels like, so you can kind of manage that better. For other athletes, it's just about making sure that you choose attempts that, kind of reflect the fact that, hey, you're going to be doing all 3 of these on the same day. And for others, it's just about showing up and performing.
Some people are just gamers, man.
Yeah, so some balance of those, I think, is what we're all looking for. Joe takes the bar to 600 for a second attempt.
Now, while you're in the meet, here's our next question. Now, most of the time you see people hydrate occasionally throughout the meet. Do you continue to refuel yourself throughout the meet as you're going, or do you just, I have my hydration, I'm good to go, I'm done?
It really depends on the length of the meet. At this competition, to be honest with you, I barely had time to change my shoes.
Yeah.
I barely had time to change my shoes before we got ready to deadlift, before we got ready to bench press. So the pace was flying. I came back from the bathroom after squat, and we were already warming up for bench press.
Yeah. Yeah, the pace of this
Shoulders
meet,
way back.
The pace of this meet has been to the point where if you blink, you're going to miss something. So it's very important that you have to be tuned into this meet just because, number one, prime time is prime time for a reason, obviously. It's a very small number of people that are going to be in that slot. And so it rolls. And, I mean, if you guys have been paying attention, our spotters and loaders are as lightning quick as they come, and they're athletes themselves. They know the weight already. They're ready to roll, and that's it. So as soon as that weight's loaded, ready to roll, you got to be ready to roll. That being said, Matthew Cronin from the Strength Athlete, 27 from Virginia, he is ready to roll. Nice setup. Gripped up. Stands up, sumo style, and he is good to go.
606, Matty Cronin lifters grip.
Now, it's awesome to watch sumo lifters that just technically in it. And then Bryce, of course, you are a sumo lifter, and in a lot of ways, you are honestly a sumo meme. Has the patented Bryce Lewis head back. And you see people trying to replicate it. You see people trying to do it. Not a lot of people can do it. I've tried it a couple times in the gym and fallen straight back. Not going to lie. So, again, that's why I make fun of you, because I can't do it myself because I will get dizzy.
Yeah.
I have gotten dizzy, and I have fallen backwards. Now, where did that come from? As we watch Blake Atwell attempt 285, doing his best Yuri Belkin impression. Let me see what the judges say about those knees. Okay, they give it to him.
Yeah, he gets 3 whites on that. So, yeah, the deadlift, I watched a few high-level Russian athletes and just kind of tried to mimic what looked like flawless sumo technique. So kind of like working the barbell in your favor. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if you take a look at what you think throwing a punch might be at its highest level, where it looks
Right.
like the body's doing all the work
Just-
and the hand just
The
follows.
hand's just an extension of
It's
it.
like the analogy of that. Like these athletes just made the sumo look effortless.
Right.
And I looked at that and I really wanted that. And that's kind of how I learned to squat too.
Right.
I looked at some high-level weightlifter squats.
Yep.
And I was like, I want that. So it's kind of like the pursuit of that. I really want to talk about Ryan Stills right now.
Ryan
I love
Stills.
his repeatable ritual every
Yeah.
time he approaches the bar. We saw it on squat. We saw it on bench. We're seeing it on deadlift right now. I think his hips weren't locked out, so we really want to see him get this and finish with a total.
And you know what? He's the type. He's fired up. He seems like he's the type that he easily can be fired up.
I think those shoulders are still forward, to be honest.
All right,
okay,
they gave
he's
it
got
to him
3
that
whites
time.
on this one.
He did. You know what? At that first time, the shoulders didn't look as dominant in terms of the finish. They definitely looked. They were back right there. And honestly, some people just the way their body's built, that's as far back as they go.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So sometimes you got to sell that when you walk up. Now me, I know I have a lot of flaws in my body. So as soon as I walk up, I almost simulate this is how I'm gonna finish first.
Uh-huh.
So they see this is how my body goes, and then I'll get
So
ready.
you're
to
showing them, hey,
I
this
show
is me.
my full extension first, and then I go. It may be a little bit of the drama club, maybe my theater in me. Just I want to.
So I
show
think we're
first before I
announcing
go.
team awards tonight as well.
Wowza.
Over the entire weekend,
Mm-hmm.
clubs have entered in a roster of athletes, and based on how the athletes finish in terms of placing, they're awarded team points. And the team with the highest number of team points takes home trophies in a similar way that athletes are based on totals. So we will see some team awards tonight. And while inconsequential in terms of being sent to any type of country to support. Meanwhile, we just saw Tristan make some dominant work of 677.
That was light work. Good job, buddy. Good second attempt.
It's often a source of team pride. They get to kind of bring it back home and say,
Yeah,
hey,
man.
we as a team won Raw Nationals, and I think that's pretty cool too.
And honestly, the team competition started getting really steep. Like as you once you start finding out who's on whose roster, and you're like, oh my goodness. And honestly, a lot of that pride, a lot of that stuff started back honestly around 2012, 2013 when RPA, when RTS and when a lot of those teams started like kind of combining, making these super teams. So and it just kind of really just created this wave. So now you start seeing these awesome teams. Your TSAs, your flex training systems. Like there's 10, 20 of them.
Yeah.
And as we watch Tyler Cook make an attempt at 312.
I think he's getting called for some
he's
hitching
gonna
on
get called
that.
for something. He got a little bit of rock, a little
I
bit of
think
hitch.
he knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll take 3 hits for that. Tyler was the athlete. His first attempt looked like a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
Looks like that might have been too big of a jump to a second.
Now I would like to talk about, of course, when it's awesome to come into a meet with numbers in your mind, but do you necessarily marry yourself to a particular number?
You definitely don't.
No.
Take a look at Matt Cronin. And I know this just because I have inside information on him.
Yeah.
We'd planned for his third deadlift to finish somewhere around 300 kilos.
Right.
It's nowhere near there.
Right.
He's with an excellent coach in Get the Lift. They've made the adjustments. He's making lifts out there. And
Right.
the plan is to just get the most today
Right.
that you can. And sometimes that's what you have to do.
Take
In
what's
fact,
there.
every time that's what you have to do.
Every single time you got to take what's there.
If you get yourself fixated on a number you don't have, guess what? You're going to miss it.
And you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
You increase the chances of hurting yourself, hurt yourself, I should say. Now, Jared Martin,
Jared's grinding.
and once he got past that sticking point, he was good to go. He looks like he's a bit
Got him.
disappointed.
That's over 700 for him. Dennis Cornelius, right before our deadlift specialist, Dennis Cornelius is taking 335 kilos, 738 on the bar. Team SSPT behind him.
I wish you guys could see Susie right now. It is literally a Chihuahua barking at a Rottweiler. She's going to make him do exactly what she needs him to do. He just says, yes, ma'am, nods his head, goes out there, attempts his deadlift. And it looks pretty clean to me. Sets it down.
Nice
There we
work,
go.
Dennis.
Good work.
Okay, let's see what Anthony's doing.
Anthony
Anthony's
is
jumping to
going
777 pounds.
71.
Not only is this a really big jump from first to second, taking 22 kilos up on the bar, this is just a stupid large pull, period. And I don't think this is going to be a challenge either.
He's walking up with a smile, pretty excited. He's got the Lily Bridge set up with the belt. Up there around those ribs.
Shoes are untied, though.
He swagged out. Shoes, we don't need no stinking shoes. And he's double over. I had no idea he was a double over puller.
So quite a challenge, but he's got it.
But that's a pretty big jump. That's a really big jump to be. If you look at it,
He's in.
22.5. He's on the board. It's 22.5. He came here with a goal in mind. I'm thinking he had somewhere
I think he's
around.
record chasing.
Yeah, I think somewhere in his head he wanted to go around 800.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I mean, based off of that, you're going to have an opener like that. But based off of that particular pool, he may not have much left in the tank in terms of 800.
We want him
but
to,
I could definitely see him around maybe 785,
yeah.
790 at the most.
I'm
But
right
again,
with you on
I could be wrong.
785. Cronin's going to finish the meet. This will be his last pull of the evening. We've got 622 pounds loaded on the bar.
Let's go, Matt! So Matt going to try to finish up nice and easy here.
Come on!
You're going to see that he's sumo style. Good setup.
Let's go!
He stands up with it, but he does not get it off the ground. And now the funny thing that people see as we're getting ready to see Blake Atwell come around the corner and make his attempt at 287.5 is you're going to see a lot of these lifters, especially when they get to these final pulls. It is not that they don't have the strength. A lot of times the body is just zapped. It's just zapped. You've had 8 previous lifts before, which you've given maximum effort on each one of those, and at some point the body's going to hit a wall of some sort. And it could be attempt number 3. It could be attempt number 9, but either way, the body's going to run out of juice at some point. Now, as we see Blake make his final attempt and finish strong with
Strong, Blake.
287.5, the judges are going to say they agree.
Good call from the
finish.
coach. Just taking 2.5 extra kilos there.
Yeah, that's a very good call. Now, also, how much do you feel, in your opinion, how much does the belt help? How much does the pulling with the belt help you? Do you change the belt, or do you have a different belt to deadlift with?
I have the same belt, and in fact,
Okay.
I don't change it from squat to deadlift. But I wouldn't be able to deadlift 60% of what I could without the belt. It makes a massive difference.
Yes.
So it's somewhat mind-blowing to me how athletes can come out here beltless and pull like an absolute maximum.
I personally, I agree with you. Now don't get me wrong. I've tried beltless cycles to to try to help, with. But
Here's Franzo,
Here we go.
290 kilos,
290
639
kilos,
pounds.
639.3. Joey grabs up.
I think he's ready.
He's locked in.
Come on.
He stands up. Can he finish it? The bar keeps going up. Does it stay there?
Knees?
Knees. I need the knees. And the judges say no. Those
That's a
knees
2
look
to
soft.
1.
Referee said it was his knees. Side referee said that he was probably shelving.
Coach and athlete going to the jury table to talk about that lift. Perfectly allowed.
Reporting on the thighs and no knee lockout.
Explanation. So if you
Yeah,
get
so
a
it's a no
a
lift.
mixed
The
call,
jury's turning it
2
down.
to 1, you can approach the jury table and see if you can get the call overturned.
Now, finishing it up, we have Zach Sprinkle. He's trying to finish his up with a 320.
Soft knees, no knee lockout. Give him a round of applause.
Zach's going to come around. Hold on. Zach going to have to hold on. Now, Zach's going to come out. Now, like we talked about, Zach obviously squatted with the belt. Now, he's going to be pulling beltless. He's going to try to stand up with this bad boy.
It's a little in front of
Can
him.
he
Can
keep
he
it
bring it
dry?
back?
It got in front of those shoulders a little bit. but he finished, and the judges say
He's
got
got
2 to
it.
1. Yes. You can take that and deposit that one in the bank. Good job.
That's a
Zach.
proud lift right there. I'm happy to see that. Tristan's last lift, another lifter from Get the Lift, over 700 pounds, 705.
Tristan, one of my favorites, he's going again for a 320. He had a pretty solid second attempt. We're going to see if. Okay, now, like we had talked
Now
about
we're
before,
talking placings.
we're talking about placing, so it starts meaning something to him. Sometimes we get lost in the sauce, realize we have Dennis and Ray here, but we forget we still have people competing for it, and the
wanted
judges
that.
say, boom, Tristan is on the board.
There's a medal for Get the Lift and Tristan Nazelrod.
This is my favorite part of powerlifting right here. Once you're done with your final pull, going and shaking the hands of the judges.
You know, we have to remember how much of powerlifting is about volunteer work. The referees, the staff, the support.
Spotters,
there's a
loaders.
tremendous amount of operation that it takes to put one of these competitions on.
I'm telling you, all the way down to production. There's a lot of unsung heroes, a lot of people behind the scenes that make these things work. And honestly, as the sport's grown, obviously people want to see it more, and as people want to see it more, production needs to happen, and it cannot happen.
Here's that
without
ritual
people.
setup from Ryan Stills.
Here
He
it
got his
is.
second after missing his first. We want to see him finish with those
I
shoulders
feel
back.
like he's jacked up. I feel like he's ready to roll with this one. I'm hoping that he keeps those shoulders back. I'm hoping he stands up fast with it and keeps that grip. It is a pretty big jump, but it's nothing I don't think that he can handle. I don't think this is something he hasn't already done.
I think he's trying to make the Masters team. That's a gigantic
And I think
jump.
with that, oh my goodness.
I think he tore a thumb. Okay. So we'll see how these placings shake out. It's possible that an athlete from earlier in the session can finish higher. We'll take a look at that.
Now we have Jared Martin coming up right here. Jared Martin's attempting the same weight.
Jared's 2 for 3 so far on the deadlift. He's only gone up 2.5 kilos. Still, we're over 700 pounds. He's got 722 on the bar.
722.
Come on.
He's
That's
at
a
the
fight.
same-
Little too much today.
The hardest thing is once you get to a point of that pulling, you hit that soft spot, and those shoulders start getting in front of the bar. The hardest thing is to try to bring those shoulders back up over your center of gravity and try to stand up with the bar, because it's just the bar path is just pretty much kind of made its own path for you. So it's just hard.
At a certain point, I think like you can keep pulling, but you've already lost the lift.
Yeah.
It's just not recoverable. But hey, let's talk about Dennis. He's 2 for 3 in the deadlift right now. Added 10 kilos. He wants 760 pounds to go up and finish this day.
Here we go. Dennis is going. He's going to try to pull this 760. We'll see how this rolls up for him.
760.6 gold medal winner, Dennis Cornelius.
It's a tight setup.
Good setup.
It's close. It's a grind. It's a fight.
And he's fighting. Oh.
And it's the hands that give out. That's a great fight from Dennis, but that's a no lift. And our last deadlift of this 120 kilo flight.
Surprise, surprise.
Anthony Gargiulo.
And he is going to go, like I said, he's going to go for an 800.
You did call it. We've got 799 on the bar right now. This is
Ladies and gentlemen,
362
we
and a
are
half
seeing
kilos.
YOLO at its finest. I feel like we are seeing YOLO at its finest.
I'm going to round this up, okay? 800 pounds. Come on, Anthony. Give me a round of
Here comes Anthony. Built to deadlift, came to deadlift.
The
Crowd's
smile,
behind him.
listen, the smile says it all, man. He's ready to roll. The crowd's behind him.
Let's see him
You
get
know
it.
I'm behind
This is
him.
the face
I'm
of
excited
powerlifting
watching.
right now.
Double overhook.
Yeah.
No.
He wanted it. It's just not there today.
No.
It might have been a case of one of those wanting the number, but not seeing the
Yeah.
attempt making the call.
Well, sometimes your eyes are greedier, greedier than your stomach,
Yeah, it's
and
very true.
then again, this might have been something he pulled before, but again, it's easier to pull it when it's the only thing you're pulling for the day, rather than having a full meet under your belt before going to pull 800 pounds.
So I'm excited we get to stay with you guys as we close down this Raw Nationals Championship as we take it to Flight 2B of this primetime session. Starting off with, I believe, Joe Pena as we open up some deadlifts.
Okay,
We've seen some phenomenal lifting. We've seen some records get broken.
Mhm.
We've seen a new national team get nominated again. None of those nominations are confirmed until drug testing is complete, and I think around December. But still, they've done the work. They've made their bid as Joe Pena opens up with 573.
Quick work.
Fantastic. I was noticing Dennis was pulling conventional. I've seen him pull sumo before.
I've seen him pull sumo, conventional. Dennis is one of those. It's just Okie boys. Those Oklahoma guys. They can almost do it all because you have Blaine Sumner, who's done it both. He's done it both. And I mean, I've literally seen Blaine pull conventional. I've seen him pull sumo. I've seen him pull almost like a little hybrid style, and I've seen him go double overhand hook and mix. It's like, so those Oklahoma boys, man, they're just strong. They're just strong, and they move a lot of weight. I'm excited to see how Dennis, ends up doing with this conventional style of pulling. Now, we have Rudy Harbin going up. Rudy, who hasn't had the greatest of days, but is still brute strong, opening up with 285.
Yeah, it's been a tough day for him, and I have to say that's probably the widest conventional grip I've ever seen.
That's almost a strong man grip.
It's almost a snatch grip deadlift on the platform. But he gets 3 reds.
He gets 3 reds.
I have to think his shoulders
Yeah.
might not be locked out.
I honestly feel like for Rudy, I honestly feel like he's so much stronger than that we're seeing right now. I just feel like a little bit of it is just, I think he might be a little tired.
Yeah, I think
he
so
might
too.
just be a little
I
tired.
think so too.
That opener I think it kind of zapped a little bit of his energy. That being said, we see a 300 opener by 40-year-old Jason Mike, Mr. Athletic, over everything out of Texas. That's 661.
So I want to talk a little bit of sports psychology real quick, just about the fact of how do you stay engaged with the sport? For some individual skill sports, for strength, like a shot put, you really don't have to be focused for all that long.
Mm-hmm.
With powerlifting, we're talking about being in the game, in competition for 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes. At that point, we're closer to soccer, where you are on a field for that long.
Yeah.
How do you stay engaged? How do you make sure that you're bringing your mind to each attempt?
I think that's one of the things that honestly, I'm a firm believer in practicing how you play, playing how you practice. As we watch Bo Moore get locked in with a 305 opener, stands up, gets that going. I feel like a lot of it for me, I start doing mock meets monthly. I do a mock meet monthly just to make sure that I stay mentally engaged and my body can practice staying engaged over and over and over. As you know, I'm kind of I check out a lot. I check out and I go to just a different mental spot a lot of the times. So sometimes you got to check out and check back in a little bit. And of course, it's good to have a team of people like the last couple of years. I've been able to have Ryan Doris in my corner. Sometimes it's good to have a group of people to make sure that you stay checked in the whole meet. Now, if we watch Ken Morris get locked in, boom.
Wow.
So appropriate that the music stops so we can hear the ooh. But
Speaking
yeah,
of athletes who are checked in the whole meet, Ken has been locked in.
He is dialed in right now. This is a very good meet for him. I'm excited to see what his total, is going to end up being because he is really doing an awesome job. But yeah, like I was saying, I mean, it's very important that whatever your means of staying, dialed into a meet are. I need somebody externally to kind of dial me back in. So obviously Ryan Doris is perfect for that. He'll keep me dialed in at all points in time. But for the most part, with my mock meets, I can't stay locked in for 3 hours straight. There's no way.
Yeah.
I watch South Park a lot during my meets. I listen to a lot of comedy during my meets. I listen to a lot of music during my meets. But whatever I use is my internal and external motivation that keeps to keep in the meet. That's what I'm going to do. So, what about you? What's some of the things you do as we watch Tyree get ready to pull this?
Let's go Tyree. He's opening up at 705 pounds, 320 kilos.
Boom.
Oh.
He says, "Ooh yeah," as he
There you
pulls
go.
320 like it's pretty much paperweight.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think creating a ritual has really helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Just a process that kind of like by starting the process, you put yourself in that mode.
Right.
So when I start my warm-up, that's my cue to kind of turn it on
Right.
for the day. And then I've got another ritual like when you approach the bar.
Right.
And that kind of just gets your head right every time you
Right.
get there. So we've seen that in a few lifters. That's repeatable setup.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a way to kind of take training and easily apply it here on the platform. Tommy's opening up with 322.5,
7-11.
7-11.
Again, a lot of it comes with that looked easy. A lot of it comes with just experience of doing meets and being the meets over and over and over and over and realizing your limitations, what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. As you watch Ray getting ready to smile, I'm almost positive he's probably it looks like 3-6 Mafia. Judging by the way he's bouncing his head, that looks like that's Memphis Bounce that he's doing right there. That's 3-6 Mafia he's listening to.
The expert call on the music here.
Yeah, that's 3-6 Mafia right there. That's 3-6.
Big Ray is opening up at 357.5 kilos. That's 788 pounds. He's jamming. I have a feeling he's kind of relaxed at this point.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to say this because I feel like it has to be said at some point. Once you get the deadlifts, and it's not necessarily if you have a lead or not, it's just you're at deadlifts and you're at the end of the road. You're just happy.
Yeah.
Because at this point, it's just, it's just brute strength that's going to get me through this. I don't have to worry about a lot of other things. I don't necessarily have to play the game. I just want to finish. I get to eat when I'm done.
Yeah.
I get to sleep when this is over with. So, yeah, I'm just ready to get it going. Now, Ray, he's opening up with 788.1. It's so awesome to watch and see how his deadlift has evolved from when we first saw him to present day. So, he's going to be going well into the 800s. Maybe he'll take a stab at 400. Maybe Matt Garrett will give him a YOLO moment.
Maybe
He
we'll
definitely
see.
takes his time. He milks the whole clock. Now we're down to 14, 15 seconds, and that looks pretty easy to me.
It did.
Judges
I've
say.
seen things be a little
Yeah.
easier.
Now Ray looks like he's conning a little bit.
I think
I've never seen
I
this
think
animated.
early on, probably after bench press, he made the switch to make this about having fun.
It's about having fun because, again, I feel like after that squat went down, the pressure's gone. And again, for me, while I appreciate the guy so much, I sometimes feel bad for a lot of these high-level athletes like yourself because there is this almost unneeded and this extra added pressure to do more, lift more, make me happy, make more weight, move more weight, without realizing, hey, man, these are human beings that, sometimes they want to have fun.
And part of me thinks that if you're having fun, that high performance follows.
It's going to
You know
follow.
what I mean? All right, Joseph. Joseph's second attempt.
606.3, which to me is a bit surprising considering how much he squats. But again, the way his body is built, he's got the short arms. He's like LS. He's got the T-Rex going on. So
We kind of do see that trade-off. So heavier weight classes, the squat kind of has no ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
But the deadlift seems to taper off a little bit. So at least on the male side, we see the highest deadlifts anywhere from the 83s to the 105s. In the female classes, we're probably looking anywhere from the 63s to the 72s.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range for the biggest deadlifts. But yeah, again, even on the female side, heavier weight classes tend to have the squat advantage.
Oh yeah, for sure. As we saw Monica Lowe murder 602.
Congrats, Bonica.
That's awesome. Now, Big Bo, 325 even. That's 716 pounds. 0.5. Getting ready, getting locked in. He had a little bit of a grind at the beginning.
Okay.
Moses say, I'm tired, man. I'm tired.
I think he's done.
I think we're done. I
You-
think he did what he had to do.
I think he's going to pull that same move on squat and scratch the third.
I'm tired. I'm done.
Yeah.
I think he's done.
Well, See if you can buy him a drink in the back.
All right, now Ken Morris, he's going up. This guy right here, I'm not gonna lie to you, it makes me happy watching this guy. He looks like he's having a good time. I'm definitely having a great time watching him. I already got my phone out.
Ken's had a fantastic day so far.
Fantastic.
Look at that. He's got more in him.
That guy it's fun to watch.
Yep.
I am now going to rename him Kenny Mo. Kenny Mo that's now his official name.
It's official, Ken.
Kenny Mo, he is definitely my favorite. He's my favorite of the day for sure.
So,
now we got Jason Mike coming up. Now he jumped. Goodness. That's a David Ricks jump right there.
This
boy.
is one of the biggest jumps I've seen.
I haven't seen a jump this big in a while. That is a 35-kilo jump, but he did make that opener fly. That being said, he's going to grip. Is he going to rip? And our judges say, no.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with them. It looked like the hips were locked.
Yeah, the hips were locked, but
shoulders are forward.
Shoulders just weren't back enough. Now,
so that pull would have given him a 2,000-pound total. He's short of that right now. Part of me wonders if that was for to beat someone earlier in the session.
Maybe.
Try to secure a spot. Tyrese coming up with 749 pounds.
750. Now, let's see. He's been dialed in, man. I'm excited. It's looked like he's going to be doing, based off what he's doing, it's like he's going to be doing 20-pound jumps. Now, 20-kilo jumps. Now, this is a pretty, based off his opener, I don't think this is going to be any problem for him. He's got a nice little ritual. Opens it up. Grips it up. Mixed grip. Gets a little bit of a roll. And he stands. That looked good to me. Judges say.
Got him.
2-1.
2-1.
Now,
nice
as
work,
far as
Tyree.
the jump, I think we might see. I don't think we're gonna see more than the 15 kilo increase maybe from him. We might see another 20, but as of right now, I'm looking maybe a 10.
I hope we see 20, but I don't think it's going up. So, Tyrese, coach, let's put it on the bar. Whatever we think he's going to make.
Well, I mean, it is Joe. You know, Joe, he's super ambitious when it comes to lifting. So if his calls are anything like his lifts, we might see another 20-pound or 20-kilo jump. Now we have Tommy Hawks coming up. He's going 340 himself.
Tommy's
now,
been putting on a clinic.
He is putting on a clinic. It looks like he's losing the grip with that right.
It did. We're going to have to watch that.
Yeah.
And in fact, it did leave before he got the down command.
And that's honestly the first.
That was a little bit of a noob mistake. He let the bar slip and just let the bar gang. The rule book says that you have to control the bar all the way to the floor. So he did what we call a gym lift there and just threw the bar down a little bit.
We have 832.2. Now here's
just
my
as
thing.
I call him a technician, man. Made a noob mistake.
I'm going to say right now, this is going to fly, and we're going to see Ray take a stab at 400. He took a stab at 400 at Worlds. It didn't quite work in his favor.
Yep.
Now it's he and Christoph, whoever's going to be the first to get to 400 officially.
I think 400 is a little bit too big of a jump today. I think this is going up, but we'll see what he's got for a third. Let's go, Ray. 832 pounds on the bar, 377.5 kilos.
This thing is going to absolutely have to fly for me to even consider 400. Well.
Yeah.
Well.
That was dominant, solid.
So at the very least, he might see a
3 whites on that, but the face does not say too much more.
390? Maybe 390, 385, something around that lines.
Trying to read the body language off this athlete.
Rudy says no. Joseph Pena. Good Lord. This turnover is ripping and running right now.
It is. So Rudy has scratched his second.
So now
Bo has scratched his third.
So now we are down to just a few lifters. Those of you that might be looking online at what the guys are doing. Maybe at the I don't even know if the sheet is live.
I'm not sure if the scoreboard is live,
If the
so
scoreboard's
we
live,
can let you know.
Joe Pena, bars loaded, 6.
All right, Ray has made the jump to 395.
Got close.
You did, and that's a big jump, to
That's
be
a
honest.
big jump.
That's gonna be a fight.
And now,
We're gonna get behind Ray to finish
if
that.
If he rips that, then he's gonna be mad.
Joe Pena's last pull.
302.5669.9. The guy's going, and this is a no-go.
Above the knees, couldn't get further. He had a good day, though.
He had a real good day. You got to really start thinking about those hips as you're getting it past those knees. Now we have Jason Mike, who's taking another stab at 335. Again, he's trying to get that 2,000 total.
Remember, this was that big jump from his first attempt.
This is a big jump. Now
Missed it on the shoulders,
Yeah.
not being back.
And it makes
he can lift it. We can see him get it here.
It makes one think, should he have gone 315 and then gone 335? Or, again, in his head, he knows his body better than I know his body. So at the end of the day, if he pulls this and gets it going, then you know what? Shut my mouth. He knew what he was talking about. I did. I really want him to get that 2,000-pound total. I think he really wants to get it. I hope the crowd gets behind him because I'm definitely behind him. Here we go. If nothing else, do it for Houston, buddy. Here we go, buddy.
Yeah, it's not there.
Nothing in the tank.
Wave to the crowd as he finishes his day. I know he's a little disappointed. I know he wanted a bigger bench. I know he wanted that deadlift.
Right.
We'll see him come back. He's been competing for a long time. We'll see him at the Arnold. We'll see him at Nationals next year. I'm sure another few competitions.
And
Ken
here
Boyce.
it is. I am positive my man Kenny Mo has a section of people in his corner. You're going to see. There he goes. He's hype. I'm hype.
Ellis is standing on
He
chairs.
has got me on the top of my chair. Big stuff from the guy.
It's not there. He's angry about that one.
Now, again, a thing that I always try to keep in mind is, I tend to try to stay. There's that call for Brad Gillingham.
Is Brad going to take a third attempt here? So for those that don't know, Brad Gillingham is a living legend in powerlifting. How many deadlifts over 900 has he accumulated?
I think I know he's had over 100 pulls of 800.
100 pulls over 800.
Over 100 pulls of 800.
So Tommy's easy second
Here's your
attempt
man, Tommy
dropped.
Hawks.
They've retaken the weight to just secure this load. This is going to give him a 2,022-pound total.
Stand up, Big Daddy. There we go.
Now put the bar down.
I saw the grip going. The grip's already gone.
Yeah.
On that right
2
side.
to 1.
That right is just the right hand.
The coach is not going to the jury table, so that call is going to stand.
Now, here's our boy, Tyree Dunn, who has had one of the most consistent, well-executed meets I've seen in a long time.
We have 2 pulls left. Tyree, followed by Ray Williams, taking 395.
Tyree with the slap.
This is the silver medal winner. Silver medal winner.
Tyree opening up, gripping up. He made pretty good work of his previous pull. The final pull for Tyree. He's locked in. Man,
Can he
that thing
get
is
it?
going. He's
No.
looking. No go.
Well, we've had solid reds for third attempts.
Oh, man.
We really want to see Ray get this third attempt.
This third attempt is 870 pounds. 870.
Ray has loaded 395 kilos, 870 pounds for this third attempt. He's all focused.
Wowzers.
This is a different Ray Williams than we saw in his opener.
Yeah.
Take a look at the change in attitude.
Which is 870.8 pounds. We're going to punch the bar down. Spot as low as we'll get the chalk up.
Now, if you're looking at the picture right now, you see him with Matt Gary. This has become a staple in terms of the picture you see. Ray Williams, Matt Gary, over and over and over. This man has coached Ray almost through every single world record that he's ever attempted. Such a great mentor, such a world-class person, and it's only appropriate that he has a world-class lifter.
Here we go. Classic Ray Williams fighting the bar.
Here it is. Your final pull. This is the way you end Raw Nationals right here. Locked in. Locked in. Everybody's on their feet. And there it is. There it is. Ray Williams standing.
And it's not there. Grabbed his hamstring, grabbed his rib. I wonder if he cramped up as he was halfway through because the bar speed was flying on that.
Looks like a little rector cramp.
And to finish out, we did not have a third attempt made for that flight, which shows you just how much a short flight can impact, especially some of these heavier lifters.
Especially when these big boys are putting it on the line like this.
No kidding. I can't imagine taking two 900-pound squats in a row, 2,000-pound squats in a row with just a few minutes to spare. But, hey, let's take a look at what we've done over this week, over this day. We saw Ray take a stab at a world record. We saw a Masters squat record go down. We saw some big lifts. We saw Jason take a stab at a bench record. We saw Joe Pena.
We saw Joe Pena. We saw the future. And, I mean, we say it all the time. This kid, as young as he is, he has a very extensive body of work. He's not only a Raw champion, but he's also an Equip champion. We saw Joe Pena take a stab at some weight. We also saw, we saw, again, some sportsmanship out of Bo Moore. We've seen, I mean, like I said, like I like to call him, powerlifting's Mr. Clean. Literally walk in, have a few fans, and walk out with the crowd screaming for him.
Yeah.
Which I thought was one of the coolest things. And then, we saw some people not have the greatest meets, but still were able to come in and try to put together a pretty good total.
We saw some massive deadlifts from Anthony.
Yes.
Who came out and had an awesome day. I got to give my shout-outs to Matt Cronin, who came in and had an awesome 8 for 9 performance.
Awesome meet. And again, at the end of the day, the coolest thing is being able to watch, young guys with some awesome technique. Big boys with technique, that's something that you don't necessarily hear all the time, but you saw a lot of big guys out here, 120 plus, with some amazing technical mastery. And of course, Dennis Cornelius doing what Dennis Cornelius does, putting massive amounts of weights on the bar and moving it. As far as one of the most dominant raw lifters that we've seen in our lifetime, I feel like he's definitely one of those. One of the most well-rounded, he's definitely one of those. He can bench, he can squat, he can deadlift, and at the end of the day, he's one of the nicest guys you can meet, and you would never, ever guess that he's an engineer. Mm-hmm. At the same time, with Ray Williams, he's one of the biggest, most dominant lifters we've seen in our lifetime. And again, you would never guess, not only is Ray a coach, but he's also a PhD candidate.
Yeah.
These guys are more than just brawn, they're brains. There's some well-educated men and women that compete in the USAPL, that compete in powerlifting. More than anything, and at the end of the day, you just gotta take your hats off to each one of these men and women that have just had an awesome day. These big guys, they're impressive. They're very, very impressive.
And I think we can talk about the fact that a lot of the lifters that come to USA Powerlifting, like, this is a sport where you can be a powerlifter and be a career of your choice.
Yes.
in whatever you want.
Right.
We're professional athletes.
Yep.
We train very hard.
Yep.
But you can also be, any career. I know teachers. I know biochemists.
Yep.
I know
lawyers, doctors.
Yeah, exactly. It just spans the gamut. So we've had an entire week of lifting.
Yes, we did.
We started off with our lighter weight classes, progressively worked our way through heavier weight classes, men and women. We finished off our women yesterday with the 84 and 84 kilo plus classes.
And of course, we saw records fall.
We saw records fall as we do every year.
And honestly, every nationals you almost expect it. You expect to see a national record fall. You expect to see a national record set. And of course, at the same time, you expect to see some unofficial world records being set and broken. And of course, this was no exception. This week, I should say, has been amazing. Robert Keller put on a stellar meet. Awesome host. Anytime you can get well over 1,000 people in one venue and have it run as well as it's run. Obviously, it's a lot of people behind the scenes that, again, like we pointed out, all the spotters and loaders and all the volunteers. This is good. It was a good time. We had a lot of just amazing things happen. A lot of champions crowned, a lot of new champions crowned, a lot of,
Yeah, we saw some
faces.
up-and-comers,
Yes,
some
we
people
did.
going to Worlds for the first time.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited to see Ashton Rouska. I'm excited
agree.
to see Russell Orhe.
Yes.
Some of these guys that have been strong and finally put that performance out there, or finally showed it in USA
Yeah.
Powerlifting. And I'm excited to see that. And I'm excited to see these guys go to Worlds, and after that, for those interested in powerlifting, for those at this competition looking forward to next year, we've got Spokane 2018 coming up on the West Coast. We get to see more fantastic lifting, the continuation of the
Right.
national championship for raw powerlifting.
And honestly, we might see a spike in attendance because there's a lot of people that on that West Coast. Believe it or not, the powerlifting scene on the West Coast is growing. It's ever growing. So we might see a spike in attendance. We might see some people that we didn't really have a chance to see. There's a lot of people that are geographically just locked away that can't necessarily make that trip from the West Coast all the way down to Orlando.
Yeah.
And this kid, who knows? Spokane could be the biggest one we've had thus far.
I hope so.
It'd be nice. It'd be really nice. And again, to see the familiar faces you see every single year, I mean, that's always something to look forward to. And honestly, seeing a lot of these, familiar brands, these familiar faces, and a lot of new brands, a lot of new faces. But it's been awesome.
All right, so if you want to find out more about these competitions, if you want to come join one, check out usapowerlifting.com for more information. My name is Bryce Lewis. It's been a pleasure joining you. I'm joined by LS McLean, 93 kilo lifter. It's been our absolute pleasure to join you.
Thank you guys for joining us, man. I hope you have a great day. You guys be blessed. And until next time, keep lifting.
All right, take care, guys.